Chapter 1736. In the inner area, Lin Feng and the others were recuperating and waiting to improve their strength. The members of the Black Ears clan were carefully exploring the area under the leadership of their patriarch, Yuan Litian. Every step they took, they had to pay a heavy price. When they entered, they were full of energy and excitement. But now they were in a mess. Except for the two 5-star experts, Yuan Xiao and Yuan Litian, the rest of the 4-star clansmen were more or less injured. There were too many 5-star demonic beasts here. They were endless and extremely aggressive, appearing wave after wave, making it difficult to resist. If not for Yuan Litian's tyrannical strength, the Black Ears would have been wiped out long ago. They had indeed obtained a lot of treasures, including a supreme treasure. Treasures like the evil crystal vein had already been piled up like a mountain. But these were just treasures, unable to quickly improve their battle strength. Even though they slowed down and advanced cautiously, Yuan Litian's team was now left with only 15 people, which was a huge price to pay. And the unexplored inner area was still bottomless. Second brother, it's time to decide, Yuan Xiao said anxiously. If this goes on, all of us will die. Wait. Yuan Litian gritted his teeth. Hold on. Even if we have to find reinforcements, we have to obtain enough treasures here. Because when the time came, many of the treasures would not belong to them. But second brother, Yuan Xiao still wanted to persuade him. Say no more. Yuan Litian interrupted directly and looked into the distance. I won't gamble with the bloodline of the family. As the patriarch, I will not allow myself to give up such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Even if we fail, at least I won't let down myself and the family. Let's continue. Yuan Litian's eyes were full of ambition. As the patriarch, the most important thing was to have the ability to make decisions and not be easily swayed by others. In the restriction of the giant mountain, Lin Feng and the others were very comfortable. In the first year, everyone's strength had improved significantly. The one who improved the most was not Lin Feng, nor as usual the next day, but the weakest 8-winged king, Yu Mingzi. In the restricted space world he belonged to, there was a top-grade spring that could cleanse his marrow and meridians, nourishing his body. Although Yu Mingzi was an 8-winged man, he was not the true winged emperor. His 4th pair of wings was not a perfect pair of wings, but a miniature one. This kind of winged man did not become an 8-winged man through his own cultivation, but a warrior nurtured by the essence of the winged emperor. Although they were peak masters of the dark domain, that was all they were. They couldn't increase their strength any further. They were called 8-winged kings, not winged emperors. But now, Yu Mingzi had been reborn, becoming a true winged monarch. In a year's time, with the help of a large number of fruits of heaven and earth and the 10,000 times time cultivation formation, Yu Mingzi's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. She had already reached the level of a 3-star great master, and was even stronger than the grass python from back then. After all, the bloodline of the winged men that flowed through his veins was top-notch. This was only one of his abilities. In fact, what Lin Feng really valued was Yu Mingzi's calm personality. He was very smart and knew what to do at the right time. As long as such an expert was given enough time to nurture, he would definitely become a talent. The one who had improved after Yu Mingzi was Captain Beijian. Although he was a bit of a money grubber, Captain Beijian's talent was unquestionable. The elf race was one of the 18 peak races, and Beijian's talent was above average among the elf race. It was just that he lacked a backer. Simply put, he lacked an opportunity. With his own ability, Beijian had already cultivated to the strength of a 4-star expert. After fusing with the treasure, breaking through to the 4-star realm would naturally be a piece of cake. Watch me when the time comes. Beijian patted his chest, his eyes shining with confidence. I'll kill as many 4-star demonic beasts as they come. I won't let a single one escape. The elf race's strongest point was their archery. No one in the Origin Awakened continent could compare to them. Let's wait and see. As usual the next day, she smiled sweetly. After a year, she did not seem to have changed much, but Lin Feng clearly knew that her soul attainments had improved by another level. Not only that, but her strength had also broken through from 2-star to 3-star. Her talent and aptitude were actually quite ordinary. Therefore, the sole inheritance of a 7-star powerhouse was simply a perfect match for her this time. As usual the next day, her big eyes sparkled as she asked curiously, "Offing, how about you?" "I'm barely a 3-star. Lin Feng smiled. Although he had the best time cultivation array, the second stage of fusing the 6 paths of light was too difficult. After 10 eras of cultivation in the time cultivation array, he was still stuck at a bottleneck. On the contrary, he had a small breakthrough in the saber technique that he had casually practiced when he was stuck at a bottleneck. It was indeed an unintentional success. With the increase in attack power, the strength in defense, and the fruits of heaven and earth shared by everyone, his combat strength was now at 3-star. "Do your best, Offing." Bei Jian smiled, and his eyes were filled with envy. "You're the one with the best talent among us. Although I'm the leader, Rushuan also knows that whether we can leave this place alive now depends on you." As usual the next day, she covered her mouth and smiled. "I thought the leader didn't know." Bei Jian's face turned red. "Don't be sarcastic. Do you think I don't want to take responsibility? It's just that." He sighed and said everything. As usual the next day, it was rare to see Bei Jian like this. They had been friends for so many eras, so he knew how he felt. Comparing oneself to others would only make one angry. Bei Jian's ability was indeed limited. "Don't worry, we'll definitely leave this place alive," Lin Feng said softly to Bei Jian. He smiled and said, "I believe that Brother Grass Python will believe it too." As usual the next day, Bei Jian raised his head when he heard this. "Yes, Big Head will definitely protect us and help us take revenge for him." Bei Jian nodded heavily. "I want to kill those bad people from the Black Ear clan with my own hands." As usual the next day, a fierce light flashed across Bei Jian's beautiful face. Lin Feng didn't tell them that the grass python was still alive. Right now, hatred was a good motivation for them. "Not long ago, I sensed that there were evil beasts wreaking havoc on the giant mountain. It was still a mess. So we still can't leave?" Bei Jian asked. As usual the next day, Bei Jian rolled his eyes. "The Black Ear clan hasn't done anything yet. We're still safe." Lin Feng nodded. "It's good news that they haven't done anything yet. The longer we drag this out, the better it is for us. I believe that we'll still have some time to improve in the restricted space." As usual the next day, Bei Jian nodded. His eyes were filled with hope and expectation. "Let's continue. See you next year." After a short meeting, Lin Feng and the other 3 went their separate ways. They returned to their respective restricted spaces and continued to cultivate, improve their combat power. Chapter 1737. Without any distractions, Lin Feng focused on cultivating the fusion of the Great Tao of Light. Although he still had no idea about the second stage of fusion, he had already completed the fusion of every 2 Great Tao of Light. However, such a second stage was at most similar to his first stage. It was far from perfection. Lin Feng was not in a hurry. As he tried to fuse, he continued to create his saber art. With the increase in his strength and experience, Lin Feng had already created the embryonic form of the Silver Plateau saber technique's third move, black cleaving. Although he had yet to create the real saber art, he had already greatly improved the saber Heavenly Tao's realm. Black cleaving was meant to break the darkness. This was the realization that Lin Feng had gained from cultivating the Great Tao of Light recently. It was also meant to break the darkness before him and the Black Ears race. Thorny cleaving can only unleash 40% of the Heavenly Tao's power. Thorn cleaving can unleash 50%. Black cleaving, Lin Feng held the vermilion sun saber in his hand. Dense light energy surged as he waved it. At least 65%. Furthermore, the saber art was compatible with the saber itself. It was compatible with the Great Tao of Light's heaven and earth origin source, allowing it to unleash greater power. With the 100,000-fold time cultivation array, Lin Feng had more time than the other 3. He could slowly comprehend and catch up. He was not in a hurry. Comprehension was not something that could be forcefully comprehended in a short period of time. Although this was a process of accumulation, it often required a point of convergence. Once it was there, it would be comprehended. Advancing side by side, Lin Feng focused on the second stage of fusion and the creation of the heavenly Tao's marrow saber art. Day after day, on the 11th month of the second year, he finally created the complete Silver Plateau saber art's third move, black cleaving. 67% heavenly Tao's power. Lin Feng held the vermilion sun saber and frowned slightly. There's still room for improvement. The saber art has yet to reach perfection. Qi. The vermilion sun saber condensed the great Tao of light. Lin Feng suddenly exclaimed. He had unknowingly activated the fusion of the great Tao of light. Although it was only the fusion of the great Tao of light and the great Tao of light, its power was greater than the fusion of the first stage of the sixth great Tao of light. Convergence. Yes, this is the agreement point. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He had been searching for the point where the six great Taos of light were unified. He had started from his own characteristics and analyzed the essence of light, but he had neglected other existences. He was clearly an expert in the saber, and the heavenly way of the saber that he had fused was based on the saber moves. Why didn't he just skip a step and combine the second stage of the fusion with the saber consonants into a whole? Boom! The war saber in Lin Feng's hand shone brightly, and there was a hint of joy in his eyes. This path was completely feasible. But for now, I need to first perfect the details of the saber move black cleaver. Lin Feng quickly got into the zone. He memorized every single movement and change of the black cleaving saber move in his mind. He started perfecting every single detail, and finally, forming a perfect saber move. 68%, 69%, 70%. The might of the heavenly Tao's marrow penetration of the Silver Plateau saber technique's third move, black cleaving, continued to improve. At the critical moment, Lin Feng naturally did not want to sever the connection and leave. He was not in a hurry to meet the captain and the rest. The improvement this time took a lot more time and effort than creating the saber move. After spending a full half a year, black cleaving was finally completed. The perfect saber moves might reach 75% of the heavenly Tao's marrow penetration. It was 25% more powerful than the second move, thorn cleave. It was quite shocking. Qi. Lin Feng's saber became even sharper. The huge increase in power caused his attack power to reach a new level. He was already at the 3-star level, but now he had improved again. Although I'm still some distance away from the 4-star level, it's not bad among the 3-star experts. Lin Feng compared himself to the grass python. As usual the next day, he had already surpassed the 2. However, compared to the captain who had a treasure, he was still lacking. Very soon, I will surpass the captain. Lin Feng put away his war saber, red sun, and quickly changed his understanding. The creation of the saber move was nearing its end. With his current ability, the third move, black cleaving, was almost the limit. There was no need to waste any more time on it. Fusing the great Tao of light was the right path. As long as he could fuse it, he would be able to take a huge step forward. 1 year, another year. Other than the 4th year, when Lin Feng left to gather with the others, he was completely in seclusion for the next few years. He only wanted to comprehend the continuity of the fusion. He couldn't be interrupted and spent more time and effort. His accumulated comprehension was improving every year. Although fusing with the saber move was more complicated than fusing directly, Lin Feng knew that this was the right path. As long as he could fuse it, he would be able to complete the path in one go. He cultivated diligently, waiting for the moment to explode. 10 years after entering the inner area, Northern Stream. As usual the next day, Yu Mingzi and the other 2 were all present. Unlike Lin Feng, the 3 of them had been cultivating for a long time and had unearthed a lot of their potential. Even if they had a great opportunity this time, their progress was much slower after a few years. However, even so, their improvement in the past 10 years was still quite shocking. The captain, Northern Stream, had completely grasped the power of the treasure. He was already at the 4-star level from the peak of the 3-star level. His attack power was even above the 5-star level. As long as he had the chance, he could even kill a 5-star expert. It could be said that the current captain, Northern Stream, was a real super sniper. As usual, the next day wasn't just beautiful. She was also smart and had a lot of luck. She had inherited the soul of a 7-star expert. Although her improvement wasn't as good as Northern Stream's in the beginning, she completely surpassed Northern Stream in the next 5 years. The speed of his cultivation increased steadily, and it seemed to be endless. As long as she had enough time, it was possible for her to become a 5-star or 6-star expert. As usual, the next day was now a 4-star expert. Compared to the past, she had improved by 2 stars. Her combat power was on par with Northern Stream's. Her abilities were balanced in all aspects. Yu Mingzi, who had cleansed her marrow and meridians, was more talented than Northern Stream in the next day. As usual, the next day, the top bloodline of the winged men made her cultivation path smooth. She was now a 4-star expert. The 3 of them combined were enough to defeat the 4-man team. Only Lin Feng was left. Do you think Offing will come this year? As usual, the next day asked curiously. He hasn't appeared for 4 years. This year is a full year. He should come, right? Northern Stream said. It's not his birthday. Why would he come for a full year? As usual, the next day snorted. Northern Stream frowned slightly and said, Don't you want Offing to come? I can't wait any longer. My cultivation has been stagnant for the past few years. It's not a good idea to cultivate in seclusion here. It's time to go out and explore. Iru Huan had an indifferent expression on his face. With the soul of a 7-star expert, she didn't have any bottlenecks. Master is here. Yu Mingzi, who had been silent all this time, suddenly opened her mouth and said, Chapter 1738. Indeed, it was Lin Feng. His figure appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Haha, Offing, you are finally here. Beijian was slightly surprised. Then, he laughed heartily and went forward to welcome Lin Feng. We have been waiting for you for 4 years. As usual the next day, she smiled. Lin Feng said apologetically, I am sorry. I have been cultivating in seclusion. That is why I am late. As usual the next day, her beautiful eyes flashed. So, you have succeeded in cultivating? Lin Feng smiled. More or less. I have completed 90%. You have not reached 100%? Beijian was surprised. Lin Feng nodded. The remaining 10% is already very difficult to improve by relying on one's own cultivation and comprehension. After all, some parts are already deeply rooted, and it's very difficult to change one's mind. It requires external stimulation to perfect it. So, Beijian's eyes lit up. Lin Feng smiled. It has been 10 years. Do you still want to stay here? As usual the next day, Beijian and Beijian looked at each other and shook their heads. It was not comfortable to stay here and cultivate in fear. Moreover, it was difficult for them to improve their strength in such a short time. Actual combat was the fastest way to improve their strength. Let's go. Beijian could not wait. His eyes lit up. I'm almost bored to death. His strength had improved greatly. He could not wait to find an evil beast to test his archery skills. He wanted to see how strong he was now. It was torture for Beijian to be in such a precious place. However, he could only see it but not touch it. As usual the next day, Beijian looked at Lin Feng and asked, Where are we going next? Lin Feng pointed outside and said, Let's go and meet the evil beasts outside. If they wanted to leave, they had to leave through the giant mountain. These evil beasts could not be avoided. A giant mountain led by a 5-star evil beast. The rest were 4-star evil beasts. It was a good opportunity to test the combat power of their team. Whoosh! Beijian and the other two's eyes lit up. Go back to where you came from. After leaving the restriction of the giant mountain, Northern Stream was a little excited and Yi Ruhun was a little expectant. Yu Mingzi was still as calm as ever. He silently followed behind Lin Feng. He was very clear about his current position and responsibilities, so he did not express any opinions. He only needed to obey. Lin Feng was still as calm as ever, so calm that Northern Stream, and as usual the next day, couldn't see through him at all. The strength of their souls was much weaker than Lin Feng's. Often, how strong are you now? Bei Jian asked curiously. It's all right, Lin Feng replied with a smile. Not bad. How strong is he? 4-star? Normal 4-star or peak 4-star? Bei Jian asked. Lin Feng smiled. You'll know soon enough. Don't keep me guessing. Bei Jian made a fierce expression. Be careful, or I'll shoot you. Lin Feng smiled. Captain, save your strength to deal with that 5-star evil beast. I'll leave it to you. 5-star evil beast. Bei Jian's breathing quickened when he heard this. He rubbed his palms together. He was nervous and excited. He had killed a 4-star evil beast before, but he never thought that he would be able to kill a 5-star evil beast one day. But now, he already possessed the qualifications to do so. Often, how many 5-star evil beasts are there outside? As usual the next day asked. 1, Lin Feng said, pointing his index finger. A mountain cannot accommodate 2 tigers. One was killed. It was precisely because of their conflict last time that their small team had fallen into a dangerous situation. Fortunately, it was more daunting than dangerous, and they had already made it through safely. But the most difficult thing is not the 5-star evil beast itself. Lin Feng walked as if he was flying. His voice was clear. After this 5-star demonic beast unified the demonic beasts in the giant mountain, it has already become a king. It can command the other 4-star demonic beasts. This is the most troublesome part. Normal evil beasts fought for themselves. Although they occupied a mountain and became kings, it was just their instinct. Because evil beasts that had lost their sense of reason did not have the concept of commander. They only thought about themselves, killing, hunting, and survival, nothing more. This 5-star evil beast is very strange. Yu Mingzi, who had been silent all this time, said, Yes. Lin Feng glanced at Yu Mingzi and nodded. The 4 of them gradually approached the entrance of the cave. The originally dug passage had long been filled up. Before they walked out of the giant mountain, they could hear the violent roars of evil beasts outside. Evil beasts' sensing ability was not weak. They had already sensed the aura of Lin Feng and the other 3. Hua! A pearl-like helmet suddenly appeared on Lin Feng's head. It was octagonal, and each corner was inlaid with pearls that emitted a faint light. What kind of Chaos Cave profound treasure is this? Bei Jian asked curiously. A peak Chaos Cave profound treasure, divine illumination helmet. Lin Feng said. He had 1 peak Chaos Cave profound treasure of the 6 paths of light, but he had never used it. Because his light great Tao was weak, these peak light-type Chaos Cave profound treasures had become much weaker. But now it was different. What is this thing for? Bei Jian asked. You will know soon. Lin Feng smiled and stretched out his right hand. Boom! He directly broke through the remaining passage. Surging light origin energy exploded, causing Bei Jian's eyes to widen. Wait, Afeng, I am not ready yet. Roar! Roar! The furious roars of the 4-star evil beasts completely drowned out Bei Jian's voice. With blood-red eyes and bloodthirsty auras, 3 4-star evil beasts appeared in an instant. Bei Jian reflexively retreated, but Lin Feng had already made his move. Instead of retreating, Lin Feng advanced. His battle blade, Crimson Sun, suddenly appeared in his hand, shining brightly. A tyrannical light source suddenly erupted from the tip of the Crimson Sun. The Northern Stream trio couldn't help but widen their eyes. They saw that the ferocious 4-star demonic beasts had been reduced to ashes in the blink of an eye. Not even their shadows remained. Let's go. Lin Feng's voice was so calm that it was shocking. He directly passed through the passage. In front of him was a black mass of 4-star evil beasts. As usual the next day, Bei Jian and Bei Jian knew that something was wrong and hurriedly chased after Lin Feng to support him. But as soon as they came out of the passage, they saw a shocking scene. Lin Feng and his blade were like the scorching sun. Every time he swung his battle blade, Crimson Sun, in his hand, he could bring about shocking slaughter. Not a single 4-star evil beast could block Lin Feng's blade. On Lin Feng's head, all the pearls on the peak chaos profound treasure, the divine illumination helmet, were shining brightly, emitting a sacred light. The Tao of Light. Its purification, Beijian blurted out. He instantly understood. Evil energy belonged to the Tao of Dark Demon and the Tao of Darkness, but it was suppressed by the Tao of Light. Lin Feng's Tao of Light naturally couldn't purify these evil beasts in a short time, but it was enough to affect them and weaken their strength. What a powerful divine energy! As usual, the next day's beautiful eyes flickered, and she covered her mouth in shock. She also cultivated the Tao of Light, so she had a deep understanding of it. The divine energy Lin Feng released far exceeded that of a peak chaos profound treasure. It was far beyond perfection. It can't be. As usual, the next day, thought of something, her heart suddenly trembled. Chapter 1739. As usual, the next day, murmured, great perfection of the path of light. No, it's the fusion of the great path of light. As usual, the next day, Beijian was much more knowledgeable. Watching the battle in front of him, he was also shocked by Lin Feng's strength. Too powerful. One person fighting against more than 10 4-star demonic beasts. This was not a matter of whether he was at a disadvantage or not, but a complete massacre. Without anyone's help, Lin Feng had killed more than 10 4-star demonic beasts in a short period of time. Whether it was strength or efficiency, it was amazing. He was too strong. Let's go. Lin Feng turned around and said to the 3 people who were stunned, then continued to move forward. Go. Where to? As usual the next day, Beijian and Yu Mingzi were a little confused. After killing more than 10 4-star demonic beasts, Lin Feng did not leave the giant mountain. Instead, he went in the opposite direction and went straight to the top of the giant mountain. His target was a 5-star demonic beast. From the beginning, Lin Feng's target was this demonic beast. It was the 5-star demonic beast that Yu Mingzi said was a little strange. The road to the top of the giant mountain was not easy because there were battles almost every moment. There were too many 4-star demonic beasts on the giant mountain. When they saw Lin Feng and the other 3 people, they fiercely attacked. Lin Feng did not avoid them. If 1 came, he would kill 1. If 10 came, he would kill 10. Because they would have to face these beasts sooner or later. Even if they could avoid them now, they would be besieged by a group of 4-star demonic beasts when they encountered 5-star demonic beasts. It was better to weaken the threat of the demonic beasts for now. As usual the next day, Lin Feng's strength made Beijian and Yu Mingzi somewhat idle. There was no chance for them to make a move. Lin Feng directly killed any 4-star demonic beast with a slash. One word, fast. Initially, they had thought that they had improved very quickly and had become strong enough. However, looking at Lin Feng now, they knew what it meant to compare oneself to others. From a 2-star expert when he had just joined, to a 3-star expert, and now, Lin Feng's growth speed left them in the dust. As usual the next day, Northern Stream and the others were also pleasantly surprised. Lin Feng's strength meant that their entire team was strong as well. They would have a higher chance of surviving in this dangerous inner area. Money Grubber, do you think we could defeat the Black Ears now? As usual the next day, he couldn't help but ask. I'm afraid not yet. Northern Stream pondered for a long time. Although Offing's strength is already very strong and should be at the level of a 5-star warrior, the Black Ears clan also has 2 5-star warriors. The clan leader Yuan Litian is one of the best 5-star warriors. Even if you and Yuan Litian tied, Offing, what about us? We are too weak. Beijian sighed. Originally, he thought that he was already very powerful after obtaining a supreme treasure and becoming a top-notch 4-star expert. However, compared to Lin Feng, compared to the true experts of Origin Awakened Continent, he was still very far away. There were dozens of 4-star warriors in the Black Ears clan's team. They could easily overwhelm him with numbers. Don't belittle yourself, Money Grubber. Like Offing said, we need to be confident. As usual the next day, he glanced at Northern Stream and said softly, back then, we were still able to survive in front of the Black Ears clan when we were so weak. Now that we have become so much stronger, we will definitely have a chance. Northern Stream smiled bitterly. I hope so. Looking at Lin Feng, Northern Stream knew clearly what their team's hope was in fighting against the Black Ears clan. Only him. Along the way, countless demonic beasts had died in Lin Feng's hands. They were moving at an extremely fast speed. They didn't even have time to collect the evil hearts, nor did they want to collect them. The value of the evil hearts in the outer area was not bad, but they couldn't be compared to the evil or veins. In the inner area, the evil or veins were as worthless as rocks, let alone the evil hearts, which were even more valuable than the evil or veins. Moreover, wasting time to collect the evil hearts would only attract more 4-star demonic beasts. No matter how strong Lin Feng was, the light source in his body was limited. Hua! Lin Feng's skin under the armor flashed with the divine light pattern. Just like the black vortex absorbing space energy, the divine light pattern could also absorb the light source to replenish the energy consumed. Otherwise, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to endure continuous battles. However, with the help of the divine light pattern, it was more than enough to deal with these 4-star demonic beasts. The energy consumed was less than 20%. Moreover, he still had the heaven and earth fruit that could replenish the light source. In terms of endurance, Lin Feng wasn't bad. Fight! After 10 years of bitter training in a 100,000 times time cultivation array, Lin Feng had spent far more effort than Northern Stream, and, as usual the next day. Although his strength had only increased a little in the first 9 years, in the last 10 years, good preparation. A blacksmith could hit a stone 99 times, but still couldn't break it. The stone only broke after the 100th hit. The reason wasn't the 100th hit, but the previous 99 hits. Boom! Lin Feng's fighting spirit soared. The continuous battles allowed him to regain the feeling of fighting outside of cultivation. After not fighting for a long time, even his hands had become rusty. The 4-star demonic beasts roared and attacked crazily, but Lin Feng received them all. Roar! The furious roars of the demonic beasts came from the top of a huge mountain. Their imposing aura was like a rainbow. Lin Feng beheaded 2 4-star demonic beasts in front of him with a single blade strike. Then, he raised his head and looked over. He saw 2 star-like bright lights and an extremely rich fire element. This was a 5-star demonic beast of the fire element. Before, he only had a vague feeling of it from afar, but now he could sense it directly. The image of the fire demonic beast appeared in his mind. Lin Feng fiercely stepped forward and rushed forward. This was it. I will deal with the big one. You guys deal with the small one. Lin Feng's words echoed in the ears of the 3 cultivators from the Northern Stream sect. Although the 3 cultivators from a Northern Stream sect were astonished by Lin Feng's decision, it wasn't the time to discuss it. Lin Feng wanted to fight a 5-star demonic beast alone. This kind of confidence made the Northern Stream trio feel a little suffocated. Was he really that strong? Hua! The Northern Stream trio instantly got ready for battle as they saw the ferocious faces of the evil beasts. The situation was completely different from before. There were over 100 4-star evil beasts all over the mountain, and each of them looked ferocious and fierce. The 4 of them had to deal with over 100 4-star demonic beasts and a 5-star demonic beast. It couldn't be, right? There was no time to be stunned, because Lin Feng had already rushed into the demonic beast horde. The god-illuminated helmet on his head emitted an endless holy light, weakening the demonic beast's strength. His warblade Red Sun cut through all the obstacles in front of the 5-star demonic beast. Xiao! 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 Northern Stream quickly entered battle mode, firing 3 arrows at once, fully displaying the archery skills of the elf race. Ruby turned into dozens of phantoms, directly rushing out to engage in close combat. Mingzi was not to be outdone either, a huge amount of spatial energy revolving around her, protecting Northern Stream while also using her control skills. Mingzi had replaced Lin Feng's previous position, and Lin Feng had become the sharp knife of this team, directly stabbing the enemy's throat. 5-star demonic beast. Chapter 1740. It stepped on fire wheels, had antlers on its forehead, and its tail was burning like a raging flame. This fiery 5-star demonic beast's body was covered with fiery red scales. It looked a little like a Qilin, but it also looked like an auspicious beast. Bang! Flames spewed out of its mouth, and its ferocious eyes revealed a cold light as it attacked Lin Feng. Whether it was its aura or attacking method, it was different from other demonic beasts. This fiery demonic beast was just like a human being. Whoosh! The godly shining helmet purified the demonic aura. Lin Feng's battle saber, Crimson Sun Raven, had the light origin. The second stage of the fusion of the 6 great paths of light had perfectly formed a whole. When he went up the mountain, he did not use any saber moves to save the consumption of light origin. However, none of the demonic beasts could resist it. Now that he was going all out, he was even more powerful. The surging light origin broke through the demonic beast's flames, making the latter furious. Lin Feng's battle intent deterrence instantly turned the tables. The fiery demonic beast's eyes revealed a little surprise, and it instantly bared its fangs and roared to counterattack. It was the king of this giant mountain. After killing and eating another 5-star demonic beast, its strength had improved greatly. However, the fiery demonic beast soon discovered that the human in front of it was terrifyingly powerful. The power of each saber was enough to break its scales and hurt it. Every attack seemed to be about to devour it. It was an unprecedented superpower house. Roar! The fiery demonic beast quickly summoned its underlings. It was very smart. It knew that it could not win against Lin Feng alone, but at this time, the group of 4-star demonic beasts was fighting fiercely with the 3 from Northern Stream. How could they be separated? Moreover, Lin Feng would not give it any chance at all. Lin Feng directly used his strongest attack, the third move of the newly created Silver Plateau Saber technique, Black Break. This move was at the realm of the Heavenly Path's marrow. It triggered the Heavenly Path's power, and it had 75% of the Heavenly Path's power. With just one slash, the fiery demonic beast was seriously injured. Its scales were broken, and blood was flowing out. It was overwhelmingly powerful. As usual the next day, Northern Stream and the others glanced over and saw this scene from the corner of their eyes. They were shocked. They had actually guessed that Lin Feng was very strong, but they did not expect him to be this strong. A dignified 5-star demonic beast had been severely injured in a single exchange. The difference in strength was so great. Monster! Northern Stream muttered these 2 words as his heart trembled violently. At this time, Lin Feng was waiting to take the life of the demonic flame beast. Suddenly, he saw the demonic flame beast's helpless eyes. His heart slightly trembled. The light of the war blade in his hand dimmed, and the pearl on his helmet became even more dazzling. In an instant, while a faint ray of light flashed on the body of the flaming evil beast, its helpless eyes looked at Lin Feng in horror. A trace of hesitation emerged in its eyes, but soon its figure flickered and disappeared from its original place. Subdue! This was the first demonic beast that Lin Feng had subdued in the myriad evil realm. Moreover, it was the king of mountains, a 5-star flame demonic beast, the 10th Song Lang Pearl. Although he had consumed a Song Lang Pearl, Lin Feng felt that it was worth it. After all, this was a 5-star demonic beast. Its combat power was not much weaker than his own. Most importantly, its mind was very clear. If it was completely eroded by evil energy, it would not recognize him as its master. After subduing it, the strength of the team would undoubtedly increase by another level. After all, a 5-star demonic beast was considered quite strong in the inner area. Without the 5-star demonic beast, the scattered 4-star demonic beasts were no longer a threat. Even if Lin Feng did not take action, Northern Stream and the other 2 could kill more than half of the demonic beasts. And Lin Feng did not intervene. He just watched from the side. After 10 years, everyone's strength had increased. If a team wanted to display their strongest combat power, they naturally had to understand each member's strength and characteristics. Only then could they integrate better. Rushuan's close combat power has increased greatly. Although her defense is not enough. She has the advantage of flexibility. The phantom doppelganger of the Iluwa clan is quite powerful. The talent of the Iluwa clan was actually quite good. It was just that the aptitude of the clansmen was often very ordinary. Captain's attack is even more terrifying. In terms of pure power, it might be stronger than mine. Lin Feng looked at Captain Northern Stream's attack and thought to himself, after all, the arrows shot out mysteriously and could target the enemy's weakness. In terms of attack power, Captain Northern Stream's ability to break through the enemy's defense was indeed above his own. However, Captain Northern Stream's weakness was also very obvious. Even if he was a 4-star expert, his body was still very weak. With Yu Mingzi's protection, Lin Feng was very satisfied with Yu Mingzi's strength. His current position was comprehensive. Not only did he have to protect Captain Northern Stream, but he also had to support Rushuan's attacks. He also had to withdraw her whenever she was in danger. At the same time, he had to use the true meaning of space to control and attack the enemy. After 10 years, he was not the only one whose strength had increased. Now, we should have the strength to fight against the Black Ears clan, right? Lin Feng's eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. Previously, they were forced into a miserable state by the Black Ears clan. Return it 10 times. Killing intent flashed in Lin Feng's eyes, deep in the inner region. Unlike Lin Feng and the others who were feeling proud and had a great increase in strength, the Black Ears clan had suffered heavy losses. Although they had gained a lot in the past 10 years, even Patriarch Yuan Litian was slightly injured, not to mention the other members of the Black Ears clan. There were only 7 4-star experts left in the team, and all of them were injured, including the 5-star expert Yuan Xiao and Patriarch Yuan Litian. There were less than 10 people in the team. Compared to when they first entered, the Black Ears clan's morale was not only low, but they had also lost their fighting spirit. Let's go back. Yuan Litian pressed his chest and frowned. He looked deeply at the area that was covered in evil aura. Although he didn't want to give up just like that, reality was reality, and he had no choice. If he continued to explore, no one knew what would happen. This time, he survived, but he was injured. He did not know if he could survive the next time. The danger level of this inner region was far beyond Yuan Litian's expectations. The 10,000 Evil Realm is indeed one of the top 3 regions of the 18 dangerous places. Yuan Litian sighed softly. He was not afraid of 5-star demonic beasts or even groups of 5-star demonic beasts, but his clansmen were afraid, and so was his 3rd brother Yuan Xiao. He did not even know what unknown terrors there were in the inner region. It is said that there are 6-star demonic beasts in the deepest part of the 10,000 Evil Realm. It may be true. Yuan Litian pursed his lips and led the injured clansman back. As the Patriarch, he had to consider the big picture at all times. Although he had not explored the inner region completely, he had gained a lot. It was not difficult to train 4-star experts. With this huge amount of wealth, it would not be a problem to train 4-star experts 10 times the number. The rest will be left to fatal limit. Yuan Litian had made up his mind. Even though he'd only received 20% of the profits, his trip to the inner territory this time had already been quite successful, and he profited greatly when he added the profits he'd obtained in the past 10 years. Chapter 1741. It was a carefree battle. Lin Feng and the other 3 had won their first battle after leaving the mountain. It was a great victory. Ha! So many fruits of heaven and earth. Beijian shouted excitedly. When they arrived at the lair of the flaming demonic beast, they found many fruits of heaven and earth, which originally belonged to the beast. With the instinct of demonic beasts, they would not keep the fruits of heaven and earth for themselves. They would only pick them when they needed them. Moreover, they would eat them directly after picking them. Therefore, this flaming demonic beast was very strange. Among the demonic beasts, its intelligence is outstanding. Therefore, its demonic transformation is not complete, especially after its strength broke through to the 5-star level. Its intelligence has recovered by more than half after the bloodline awakening. Therefore, it occupied the mountain and collected the fruits of heaven and earth. Lin Feng explained. Because of this, he was able to subdue it. Otherwise, it would be impossible for demonic beasts with their intelligence to be controlled, because they did not know what it meant to be obedient and servant. Often you subdued it? As usual the next day, Beijian was surprised. Lin Feng nodded. Let's wait for it to recover. At that time, we will have another helper. The helper of a 5-star demonic beast. That's great. Beijian was very excited. Now, we have hope of avenging Big Head. With Lin Feng, who is stronger than a 5-star demonic beast, and another 5-star demonic beast, their strength was not inferior to the Black Ears clan. After this battle, Beijian also regained a lot of confidence. They were very strong. 3 against 100, they were not at a disadvantage. This was unimaginable before. Not long ago, a 4-star demonic beast had forced them into a difficult situation, and 3 4-star demonic beasts could chase them everywhere. But now, any one of them could fight against 10 4-star demonic beasts alone. The combined strength of the team was even more amazing. In 10 years, they had transformed. In this unexplored inner area, anything was possible. Although they couldn't roam this land of treasures unscrupulously like the Black Ears clan, at least their strength was steadily improving. Even if they did not get anything in the future, they had already made a profit. All right, now let's vote. Lin Feng clapped his hands and glanced at the northern stream, and as usual the next day. Both of them were slightly startled. They didn't know what Lin Feng meant. What was the vote? Distribution of treasures? Everyone has seen the current strength of the team. It's not as good as the top, but it's more than enough. Lin Feng said, previously, we went to the entrance of Exine Feng Pass. Although there was a Black Ear clan expert guarding the entrance, he was only a 5-star expert, and his strength was far inferior to the patriarch, Yuan Litian. If everyone wants to save their lives, it's best to quit while you're ahead. Now is the best opportunity. The possibility of leaving alive is more than 90%. As usual the next day, Northern Stream, he gasped in surprise. They had been looking forward to this day, but they didn't expect it to come so quickly. Not only did they survive the Black Ears clan's pursuit, but they also managed to escape with their lives intact. If we leave, does that mean we won't be able to avenge the two? Bei Jian suddenly asked. Lin Feng nodded slowly. Then I won't leave. Bei Jian raised his head and said without hesitation. He looked at Lin Feng without any hesitation. As usual the next day, Bei Jian was shocked by Lin Feng's decisiveness. Captain, this doesn't seem like your character. As usual the next day, Bei Jian was shocked. What do you mean by my character? Bei Jian crossed his arms in front of his chest and said with righteous indignation, Am I a coward in your eyes? Lin Feng, and as usual the next day nodded. You. Bei Jian pointed at Lin Feng and said with a crying face, Often, I don't care if you look at me like that. Why do you look at me like that too? When have I ever left you behind when you were in danger? Tell me, tell me. Everyone smiled. Indeed, even though Bei Jian had many shortcomings as a team leader, he was still a good team leader. He was a good big brother, responsible and loyal. Although he was indeed greedy and afraid of death, these were all human emotions. I'm just joking, Captain. Lin Feng smiled and looked at, as usual the next day, What about you, Ru Sun? Are you going back or staying? Of course. As usual the next day, Ru Sun's beautiful eyes were filled with anger. She had never been a coward. Now that she had a chance to avenge the two, she would do her best. Otherwise, she would not be able to live up to her conscience and her friendship with the two. Lin Feng nodded and said, I'm just asking. Let's go. There were some things that had to be done even if the answer was already known. This was to prevent any disharmony in the team. Even if the captain and Ru Sun did not participate, he would not give up such an opportunity. If he did not take revenge, he was not a gentleman. Deep into the inner area, for the first time, Lin Feng and the other 3 had the confidence to move forward. Although it had been 10 years, and most of the treasures had been found by the Black Ears clan, there were always some that slipped through the net. The restriction on the giant mountain was the best example. Searching inch by inch, Lin Feng and the other 3 did not move very fast. Anyway, they were already very slow, so it did not matter if they moved a little slower. At least they could ensure their safety. After all, there were only 4 of them. Losing any one of them would damage the strength of the team. They had to maintain their peak fighting strength to avenge the grass python. The inner area, which was like purgatory for the Black Ears clan, was like flat ground for Lin Feng and the other three. The most dangerous obstacles had been cleared by the Black Ears clan. Occasionally, some demonic beasts would attack, but they were completely under the control of Lin Feng and the other three. There were not even 5-star demonic beasts, so how could they pose a threat to Lin Feng and the other three? After moving forward slowly for several months, Lin Feng and the other three did not have a particularly big harvest, but they still had some sources of income. Of course, their harvest was much more than that of the outer area. After all, here, the evil crystal veins could be seen everywhere. They were as numerous as the sand on the beach. The biggest harvest was the team's cooperation. At the time of the restriction on the giant mountain, everyone's cooperation was still very unfamiliar. After all, after 10 years of bitter cultivation in the cultivation array, everyone's strength had undergone earth-shaking changes. It would take a long time for them to cooperate. In the past few months, they were like gears that fitted together tightly, especially between Lin Feng and Bei Jian. It was like two sharp blades overlapping each other. Their attacking power was astonishing. I wonder how the Black Ears clan will react when they see us. Bei Jian said with a smile. They will definitely be surprised. As usual the next day, Qing Ran smiled. They must have thought that we died in the hands of the demonic beasts, Bei Jian said. Of course, our team was so weak at the beginning. Any 4-star demonic beast could make us want to die. As usual the next day shrugged. Haha, the past is unbearable to look back on, Bei Jian said. As usual the next day, Qing Ran glanced at Lin Feng and said softly, Yes, I didn't expect that we would come to this point. Ta! Suddenly, Lin Feng came to a stop. His expression was slightly surprised, but a smile soon appeared on his face. Didn't you want to know how the Black Ears clan will react when they see us? Lin Feng turned his head and said to the other two, Soon you will see. Chapter 1742. In the inner area, 9 figures were moving at high speed. It was the Black Ears clan led by the clan master, Yuan Litian. When they entered, they were very careful as if they were afraid of stepping on landmines. When they came out, they didn't have to worry so much as they had checked everything and removed all the dangers. In addition, the Black Ears clan's innate talent, Black Ears, allowed them to predict danger and travel at high speed. Therefore, in just a few months, the Black Ears clan had completed the journey that they had taken 10 years to complete. We are reaching the entrance, Clan Master Yuan Litian said in a low voice. Yes, second brother. Yuan Xiao's pale face revealed a touch of joy. He had been living in fear for the past 10 years and could finally be free. Behind Yuan Xiao, the Black Ears clan's 4-star experts smiled from the bottom of their hearts. They could finally return. Exploring here was like fighting with death every day. It was physically and mentally exhausting. Suddenly, Yuan Litian's ears twitched and he frowned. His expression changed slightly and he stopped. Yuan Qua and the others were taken aback, but they also stopped along with Yuan Litian. There was a short silence in the air. It was suffocating. There are enemies. As one of the best 5-star experts, Yuan Litian's innate talent, Black Ears, was quite powerful. It had helped him avoid danger countless times in the inner area. Yuan Xiao and the rest didn't doubt that the clan master's senses were right. Did other forces discover this place? Yuan Xiao's voice trembled. He was afraid. Those who could enter the inner area were not to be trifled with. Yes, Yuan Litian nodded. He had set up a defense outside Xin Feng Feng and arranged 5-star experts to guard it. If other forces wanted to enter, they would have to destroy the defense that he had set up. What did this mean? The enemy had at least 5-star experts, and their team was quite powerful. Now that their team was disorganized and their morale was low, they might not be able to fight against the enemy even at their peak. Now, they were in even more danger. Second brother, let's avoid them first, Yuan Xiao said. We can't, Yuan Litian said in a low voice. There are martial artists with strong soul-sensing ability in the enemy team. They have already locked on to our location. Swish! The faces of Yuan Xiao and the others instantly turned pale. Previously, They were the ones hunting down others and locking onto their positions. Now, it was the other way around. Every dog has its day. Third brother, you go alone. Yuan Litian made a prompt decision. Me? Yuan Xiao's eyes widened. Yuan Litian shouted, "Don't dawdle. Take my keepsake and go to Deadly Limit to find my old friend. Big brother knows the location of Deadly Limit." Yuan Xiao replied in a daze. Yuan Litian had already stuffed a token into his hand. "Why aren't you going yet?" "I know, second brother." Yuan Xiao pursed his lips tightly. His eyes revealed a trace of determination as he nodded vigorously and left. He was clear about his second brother's intentions. In this situation, it was unclear whether they were friends or foes. Splitting up was the safest method. Perhaps second brother might not necessarily die. With his strength, even if he were to face the enemy head-on, he would still be able to preserve his life. However, one more possibility meant one more guarantee. Oh, Lin Feng, who was galloping, was slightly startled. He had sensed the departure of a five-star powerhouse. "What's wrong, Offing?" As usual the next day, he would ask this question. "Nothing. The Blackears clan might have discovered us," Lin Feng said. Beijian's lips turned green. He inexplicably began to feel nervous. Although he had some confidence in his current strength and wanted to take revenge for the grass python, he was facing an opponent that he could only look up to in the past. Nervousness and fear were normal human emotions. King of Mountain, chase. Lin Feng immediately sent out the fiery demonic beast that he had just tamed. It stood on fire wheels, had antlers on its forehead, and a tail that looked like a raging flame. It was the five-star demonic beast on the mountain. Apart from himself, no one else was a match for a five-star powerhouse. However, he couldn't split himself to deal with him, because his opponent was Yuan Litian, who was close at hand. Although the King of Mountain might not necessarily win, he couldn't let his opponent escape either. Moreover, it didn't matter whether the King of Mountain was present or not. The number of martial artists on the other side was much less than before. After one five-star martial artist left, only the family head Yuan Litian and the other 7 4-star martial artists were left. The 4 of them were actually not at a disadvantage against the 8 of them. After all, the opponent's aura didn't seem strong. Obviously, they had lost a lot of energy during the exploration of the 10,000 Evil region. The inner region seems to be more difficult to explore than expected. Lin Feng wasn't too surprised. After all, they had encountered the 5-star pinnacle giant red tree when they had just entered. It had already shown that the inner region was different from the rest. Great! The more the Blackears clan's strength was weakened, the greater their chances of winning. Lin Feng clenched his fists. His eyes flashed with fighting spirit. He had been fighting nonstop for the past 2 months. Now, both his combat strength and fighting spirit were at their peak. Against Yuan Litian, it was still unknown who would win or lose. The battle between him and Yuan Litian would directly affect the outcome of the battle. Victory or defeat would depend on this battle. Both sides couldn't run away. They could sense each other's presence. Lin Feng didn't think of leaving. Since he was here, he might as well fight. He wasn't a man if he didn't take revenge. In front of him, the Blackears clan's figures gradually came into view. Lin Feng suddenly stopped. Behind him, Beijian, as usual the next day, and Yumingzi also stopped. Their eyes were shining with fighting spirit. They looked at the 8 approaching figures under the evil aura. They had towering black rabbit ears, a murderous aura, and black armor. The one in the lead was the patriarch of the family, Yuan Litian, who was standing upright and exuded an imposing aura. What? The moment they saw each other, Yuan Litian was stunned. Not only him, but the people behind him were also stunned. They were ready to fight to the death, even sacrificing their lives. However, I didn't expect it was the group of little guys from before. There were the few little fellows who had been forced into the inner area by them. In the past 10 years, everyone, including Yuan Litian, had forgotten about Lin Feng and the other 2. In the inner area, where danger lurked everywhere, who would have thought that a group of little guys at most would only be 3-star warriors could survive? It was unbelievable. Yuan Litian's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but sneer. He was so well prepared. He set up a trap to send away his third brother, Yuan Xiao, and prepared for the worst. However, he didn't expect to meet this group of little guys who came out of nowhere and were caught red-handed. Damn it, Beijian gritted his teeth, looking at Yuan Litian's arrogant and disdainful appearance. Looking at the 4-star experts of the Black Ears clan smiling and revealing relaxed expressions, all the memories of the past surfaced in his mind, especially the tragic death of his brother, the grass python. It was still vivid in his mind. Go to hell. Beijian's eyes were bloodshot. A pair of silver wings on his back shone, and the power of the treasure burst out instantly. Chapter 1743. Not only were the Black Ears surprised, but even Lin Feng, and as usual the next day, did not expect that Beijian, who had been nervous and afraid, would make the first move. The silver Kuan wings were filled with violent winds, and the first attack was infused with a top-notch 4-star attack. This was a set of treasures that could be used to defend and attack from a distance. The attribute of the wind was quite suitable for Beijian. Yuan Litian and the others were focused on Lin Feng, who was standing in front of them. No one expected Beijian to make a sudden move, and the power of the attack was quite shocking. The power of the group attack was comparable to that of a single attack. The Black Ears hurriedly dodged, but the distance was not too close, so it was quite difficult for them to dodge. Yuan Litian snorted, and a ball of black fog condensed in his hand, directly negating the attack of the silver Kuan wings. However, the other 4-star experts did not have such strength, and instantly, miserable cries could be heard. 6 of the 7 4-star experts were injured. One of them was severely injured, and the last one was directly hit in the vitals and died tragically. The next moment, chi. 3 lethal arrows followed closely behind the silver Earth Wings attack, heavily injuring 2 4-star powerhouses and killing another 4-star powerhouse. At the same time, 8 beautiful phantoms appeared, attacking every Black Ears expert. Fast. As usual the next day, Beijian's attack was as fast as lightning, taking advantage of the underestimation of the Black Ears experts to take down the city first. Mocking? Disapproving? Lin Feng and the other 3 used their absolute strength to give the Black Ears experts a hard slap in the face. In the blink of an eye, there were only 8 people left in the Black Ears camp. In the blink of an eye, 2 of them were killed, and the other 2 were severely injured. Yuan Litian made his move. The Black Flash went straight for Beijian, who had the weakest defense, with anger. As the head of the family, it was an absolute humiliation for him to see his clansmen killed in front of him. Moreover, he could also see that the strength of these 2 little guys had improved a lot compared to 10 years ago. They even had an additional treasure. Boom! The Black Flash was directly devoured. Lin Feng held the Crimson Sun in his hand and blocked Yuan Litian's path. The surging light origin condensed the light rune, and Lin Feng's battle-intense soared as he directly received Yuan Litian's attack. Your opponent is me, Lin Feng said coldly. In the next instant, the 6 great paths of light merged and transformed into countless saber moves that attacked Yuan Litian. What? Yuan Litian was also stunned. He had fought with Lin Feng before. At that time, Lin Feng was only an ordinary 2-star expert. He didn't take him seriously at all. But now, this little guy actually had the ability to launch an attack on him. It had only been 10 years. But this was only the beginning of Yuan Litian's shock. Lin Feng's battle blade, Crimson Sun, burst forth like a scorching sun in the sky. His attack power instantly ignited and was on par with Yuan Litian. As he fought and retreated, Yuan Litian no longer had the slightest bit of contempt on his face. Instead, it was replaced with a solemn expression. Although it was hard to believe, he still had to face reality. 5-star expert. Yuan Litian's heart was in turmoil, and it was hard for him to calm down. If anyone told him that a 2-star martial artist could transform into a 5-star martial artist in 10 years, he would definitely snort in disdain. But now, a living example was right in front of him, and it was an enemy. Boom! Yuan Litian took a defensive stance and wanted to counterattack in the next moment. Although Lin Feng was a 5-star expert, Yuan Litian himself wasn't weak either. As one of the best among the five-star experts and the family head, Yuan Litian's abilities were quite strong in all aspects. Although he was shocked now, his battle power didn't decrease at all because of this. His fight with Lin Feng was like a collision of heavenly thunder and earth fire, like a collision of meteorites. A battle between light and darkness. Lin Feng's peak chaos profound treasure, divine illumination helmet, had a strong restraining effect on darkness. However, as the family head, Yuan Litian wasn't ordinary either. He also had peak chaos profound treasures. Although the quantity wasn't as good as Lin Feng's, the quality wasn't inferior. Moreover, he had used peak chaos profound treasures 10 times more than Lin Feng in battles. He had more experience and could unleash more power. Stab! 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 The ground instantly turned into a darkness array. Yuan Litian saw how powerful Lin Feng's attack was and didn't want to continue fighting head-on. He was afraid of the young and strong. Using a nomological mystic technique and peak chaos profound treasure to deal with Lin Feng, Yuan Litian knew that he had the advantage. He had much more experience than Lin Feng. Crimson Sun. Lin Feng attacked decisively and directly broke through the darkness array. The Crimson Sun Battle Edge's current power had already surpassed ordinary peak chaos profound treasures because it would increase with the strengthening of the light origin source. Lin Feng's Great Tao of Light was now perfect and at the second stage of fusion. The light origin source's amplification of the Crimson Sun had reached the limit. Bam! 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 Explosions sounded everywhere as Lin Feng's vigorous figure broke out of the array. What a powerful kid! Yuan Litian was deeply afraid. He thought of the little fellow who had slipped through his fingers back then. In just 10 years, he had become so terrifying, his strength catching up to his. He regretted it very much. He regretted not killing this kid back then. Now, he had nurtured a tiger. Boom! Lin Feng blasted Yuan Litian back again. However, the latter's defense was quite strong and he wasn't injured. Instead, he stomped on the ground and slashed at Lin Feng's throat with 2 dark blades in his hands. At that moment, an arrow mysteriously appeared, as if it had come from another dimension. Yuan Litian, who was about to counterattack Lin Feng, broke out in a cold sweat. He staggered and suddenly retracted his body. His attack was immediately hindered. At that moment, Lin Feng's Crimson Sun Battle Edge's power erupted. One after another, not only did Yuan Litian not counterattack, but he also made the situation more difficult for himself. This time, it was all because of Beijian's arrow. He had been caught off guard. Yuan Litian wished he could skin Beijian alive and kill him 10,000 times over. Pung, pung, pung. In the battle with Lin Feng, Yuan Litian didn't have much of an advantage. Now that Beijian had joined the battle, the situation became even more cruel. Yuan Litian, who had lost the initiative, was being suppressed by Lin Feng. He also had to constantly pay attention to the arrows that were flying from who knows where. It could be said that he was in a terrible state. Out of the corner of his eye, he looked not far away. Not only him, but the remaining 4 4-star powerhouses of the Black Ears clan were also in a similar situation. In the blink of an eye, another 4-star expert of the Black Ears clan was killed. One was the defeated army's master. The other was the new army with high morale. In terms of combat power, the Black Ears clan was actually not weak. However, they had lost because they had been on the verge of mental collapse for the past 10 years. Continuous battles and continuous defeats had destroyed their willpower time and time again. Just like when 2 armies were fighting, morale was a very subtle but decisive thing. The sudden burst of power from Lin Feng and the other 3 shattered their fragile hearts. They quickly lost the courage to resist. Damn it! How did they become so strong all of a sudden? Yuan Litian gritted his teeth as he was forced to retreat again and again by Lin Feng's attacks. He felt indignant. Although he knew that this must have something to do with the treasures in the inner area, he should have obtained more treasures. Chapter 1744. Soldier against soldier, general against general. If the Black Ear clan's members were more powerful, Yuan Litian's situation would not be so bad. After all, he was on par with Lin Feng in terms of strength. He might even be stronger, but not by much. However, with the addition of Northern Stream, the Elf Clan's archer, Lin Feng's battle strength increased by 50%. This 50% was enough to suppress Yuan Litian. As usual, the next day's members were fighting against the Black Ear Clan's members. Although they did not have Northern Stream's arrows, they were still able to fight against 3 people by themselves. Furthermore, with Yu Mingzi's attacks and spatial shackles, they were also completely suppressed. From 4 to 3, from 3 to 2. Chi. As usual, the next day's eyes flashed as 8 figures wielded the mother-son sword. Cold light flashed as they sliced through the air. It was as if countless bolts of lightning were flashing through a sealed space. Chi. Fresh blood sprayed out as the last Black Ear Clan's member fell into a pool of his own blood. A beautiful face appeared. As usual, the next day's eyes were filled with joy. She had really become stronger. The Iluo clan had always been labeled as beautiful, but they were never strong. Similar to the Great Earthman clan, the Iluo clan was only a mid-tier clan in the Origin Awakened continent. The strongest in the clan was only a 4-star expert, and there were not many of them. This was because the Iluo clan's aptitude was indeed very ordinary. The heavens had given them extraordinary looks and beauty, but they would also deprive them of other things. Furthermore, the Iluo clan's bloodline talent was very strong. They could use the Iluo Phantom. The stronger their bloodline, the stronger their talent. However, talent could only be used when one's strength reached a certain level. As usual the next day, she could feel it. She was not weak. She could even challenge someone as strong as the Black Ear clan. Very soon, she would become the strongest 5-star expert in the Iluo clan. She would prove to everyone that the Iluo clan was not just good-looking. They could also fight, and they could also be very strong. As usual, the next day's eruption pushed the battle to the brink of an end. The Black Ears clan had been completely wiped out, and now, only Yuan Litian was left. Moreover, he was being suppressed by Lin Feng and Beijian. The situation was extremely bad. From 8 versus 4, it was now 1 versus 4. Yuan Litian's face was ashen. His eyes flickered as he tried to think of a way to escape. He had long since lost the will to fight, because he was clearly aware that he was no longer able to kill this little fellow before him. The little guy who was once like an ant in front of him. Now, he was already on equal footing with him and possessed combat strength that wasn't inferior to his. This was reality. A missed opportunity was a missed opportunity. Go! Yuan Litian instantly made up his mind. If he didn't leave now, he wouldn't be able to. Facing his opponent's exquisite coordination, he had no chance of winning. Forcefully receiving Lin Feng's attack, Yuan Litian's hands suddenly flashed with countless black lights. With a roar, he shot out like a cannon. Not only did he attack Lin Feng, but he also attacked Beijian and Yu Mingzi. As usual the next day, besiege way to save Zhao, Lin Feng frowned. Yuan Litian's move was very smart. He couldn't just ignore the safety of his teammates. Spatial lock. Lin Feng quickly used his true meaning of space. Returning to Zero Cross suddenly appeared and used 10 Directions Annihilation to block Yuan Litian's explosive attack. At this moment, Yuan Litian's pitch-black demonic arrow broke through space and headed straight for Lin Feng. It was difficult to block. The surrounding space was sucked in by the pitch-black demonic arrow. Lin Feng's battle blade, Crimson Sun, quickly unleashed its power and forcefully blocked the arrow. The powerful impact caused his body to uncontrollably retreat. Whoosh! After 2 consecutive attacks, Yuan Litian had already retreated. He was very smart and quick-witted. Even his speed of retreat was very fast. However, he had forgotten one thing. The current Lin Feng was also a 5-star expert. In the eyes of humans, Lin Feng's physical fitness was the peak of the peak. He was invincible at the same level. His speed was even faster than Yuan Litian's. Moreover, with Heaven's Eye Lock, Yuan Litian had no chance of escaping. In just a short while, Lin Feng caught up to Yuan Litian. The distance between them was constantly closing. The two quickly fought, but no one could do anything to the other. Afraid of Beijian and the other two, Yuan Litian didn't continue fighting. He directly retreated into the depths of the inner region. His advantage was that he was very familiar with the terrain. He had personally explored these places in the inner area, so he knew very well what they were like. Chase. Lin Feng didn't hesitate at all. Even if he knew that Yuan Litian was doing it on purpose, it would be good if he could escape. Even if he couldn't, he could at least separate himself from his teammates. Without Beijian's help, his strength was on par with Yuan Litian's. It was still unknown who would win. You want to take advantage of the terrain and fight me one-on-one? Lin Feng's expression was calm as he chased after Yuan Litian. Then come. He didn't know how many times he had fought as the weak against the strong. What was there to be afraid of in a battle like this? In fact, he preferred to fight Yuan Litian one-on-one rather than besieging him. The victory would be decided by him. You overestimate yourself. Yuan Litian did want to escape at first, but after realizing that he couldn't, he changed his mind. He wasn't afraid of Lin Feng one-on-one. Although Lin Feng had improved a lot in the past 10 years, Yuan Litian was still very confident in his own strength. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. He was confident that his experience and judgment were above Lin Feng's. Kill him first, then deal with the other three. Yuan Litian's eyes quickly scanned the area. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He clearly remembered that there was a terrifying swamp in front of him. Once he entered, his aura would be sealed. He had lost many people because of it. That's the place where you'll be buried. Yuan Litian's eyes were cold and disdainful. He quickly rushed over. Lin Feng was getting closer. He knew what Yuan Litian was thinking, so he didn't care what tricks he was playing. He wanted to find an advantageous terrain? No problem. No one had an advantage in terms of terrain. Even if it was an unknown area, he could sense it clearly in a short time. Oh, have we arrived? Lin Feng sensed that Yuan Litian's speed was constantly slowing down, and the distance between them had instantly shortened by quite a bit. Lin Feng spread out his heavenly centipede cultivation's senses, and his eyes lit up slightly. Or a seal. Another area? Lin Feng was very curious. Just like the restriction on the giant mountain, there was also a mysterious area in front of him whose aura couldn't be detected. There were usually only two possibilities for such a place. It was either very good or very bad. But because Yuan Litian had obviously explored that area, the possibility of it being very good could be eliminated. Whoosh! Yuan Litian's silhouette disappeared as his aura abruptly vanished. Lin Feng's brows furrowed slightly, but he didn't slow down. Although he was a little cautious in his heart, he still entered this mysterious place with sealed aura. Chapter 1745. What a sinister place. As soon as Lin Feng entered, he smelled a corrosive smell. The entire place was deathly silent, and the evil aura in the air seemed to be able to corrode everything. The sound of bubbles bubbling could be heard. Lin Feng looked over. The dark air pressure was swallowing the swamp, and it rumbled like a volcano. His senses from the outside world had been completely blocked. This was a unique domain, a special space. The bubbles above the swamp were pitch black, and they were extremely poisonous. Even the fruits on the muddy ground above the swamp were all strange and jagged, like the fruits of a devil. They were skinny, old, and evil trees. It was indescribably eerie. Everything here was filled with evil aura. While Lin Feng spread out his senses, it was greatly restricted here, but he could still feel Yuan Litian's presence. He was not far from him, but he did not run away. Instead, he stopped. Are you waiting for me? Lin Feng's gaze swept over the area. Naturally, he knew the answer. If he was Yuan Litian, he would not run away either. Yuan Litian was not weaker than him. The evil aura here was several times thicker than outside, and it was filled with evil and darkness. It was the best place for Yuan Litian, who cultivated the Tao of darkness, to strengthen himself and weaken his enemies. Yuan Litian's plan was perfect. However, I cultivate the Tao of darkness, and I will not be affected. Lin Feng did not care. The evil aura covered his body, but he treated it as nothing. His cultivation of the Tao of Darkness had also reached perfection. Although he was better at using the great Tao of Light, at least the environment here did not make him feel uneasy or dangerous. This place is very strange. Lin Feng walked forward cautiously. His gaze fell on the pitch-black, poisonous swamp. His intuition told him that there must be something below the swamp. It was most likely dangerous, because his aura could not detect the swamp at all. This danger far exceeded the danger of the swamp itself. The black ears only rely on their innate ability, black ears. I'm afraid they can't sense it. Lin Feng felt uneasy because of the heaven-devouring cultivator senses. He knew that Yuan Litian definitely did not know, or he would not have chosen this place as the battlefield. However, it could also be that he was overthinking things. After all, Yuan Litian must have been here before and was familiar with the environment. Perhaps the danger here has already been eliminated. Lin Feng didn't think too much about it. The evil qi in front of him dispersed like smoke, revealing a familiar figure floating in the air. Yuan Litian, although he had been suppressed in the previous battle and had even suffered some minor injuries, Yuan Litian's aura was not affected in the slightest. His greenish-brown eyes were like the eyes of the Grim Reaper. Seeing Lin Feng appear, the corner of Yuan Litian's mouth twisted coldly. "You've got guts." Lin Feng looked at him and smiled. "Isn't this what you want?" Yuan Litian said coldly. "I'll give you a chance. Join my Black Ears clan, and I'll let bygones be bygones for everything you've done. Your position in the clan will be second only to mine, and I'll give you whatever treasures you need." Lin Feng laughed involuntarily. "I'll give you time to think about it," Yuan Litian said in a low voice. Lin Feng looked at Yuan Litian and smiled. "The Patriarch is indeed the Patriarch. Your breadth of mind is indeed extraordinary. I've killed so many of your clansmen, yet you can pretend nothing happened. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to do it. Because you're not in this position," Yuan Litian said. Lin Feng smiled. "That's why I can't be the Patriarch. Small characters like us are actually very simple. We repay kindness with kindness and revenge with revenge. We live a more carefree life and follow our hearts." Whoosh! Lin Feng's battle saber, Crimson Sun strives for edge, shone with a dazzling light. His aura suddenly changed, and he no longer talked nonsense with Yuan Litian. He had never been afraid of him. Not in the past, not now, and definitely not in the future. "I lost that day, so let's fight again today." Lin Feng naturally remembered the short confrontation with Yuan Litian in front of Xian Feng. At that time, he couldn't even withstand a single blow from Yuan Litian. But today, he already had enough strength to compete with him. Boom! Lin Feng's aura was shocking, and he used the Silver Plateau saber technique, Thorny Cleaver. Yuan Litian's battle leaned towards control, and his defense was airtight. When he saw Lin Feng attack, he quickly retreated, and a dark light burst out from his hands. Whoosh! Along with the surrounding evil aura, the power of darkness increased by a lot. However, Lin Feng's peak chaotic cave, Xian Treasure Divine Illumination helmet shone with a holy light, which was the nemesis of the Tao of Darkness. He directly attacked Yuan Litian. After fusing the second stage of the Great Tao of Light, Lin Feng's attacks were decisive and free. His heavenly Tao Marrow realm increased the power of his saber moves by a large margin. Using force to suppress, Yuan Litian snorted coldly, defending while waiting for an opportunity to counterattack. The confrontation between the two five-star experts caused a huge fluctuation in the silent swamp, especially the collision of evil aura. The light was destroyed, and the confrontation between light and darkness caused the bubbles in the swamp to increase in number and frequency. However, the two didn't know. Even if they knew, they wouldn't have the time to care. This was an evenly matched battle. Victory and defeat were often decided by a single thought. Without the Northern Stream's help, Lin Feng's battle power was on par with Yuan Litian's. One had a stronger aura, while the other had more experience. This kid, the evil aura in this dark swamp is shocking, but he isn't affected at all. Yuan Litian was shocked by Lin Feng's uniqueness. He had chosen this place as the battlefield because the environment was advantageous to him. However, this kid was still wet behind the ears. He cultivated the great Tao of light. The environment here would have a greater impact on the light. After all, darkness and light restrained each other. Yuan Litian didn't know that apart from the great Tao of light, Lin Feng's attainments in the great Tao of darkness were equally shocking. Boom! The more Lin Feng fought, the more excited he became. It had been a long time since he had fought such an evenly matched battle. He had displayed all his hard work over the past 10 years. He had fused the remaining 10% of the second stage of the great Tao of light. It was easy for him to be inspired in such a battle. Not only that, but even his saber technique had a new feeling. For warriors, fighting was always the best way to improve their strength. Of course, this was a real battle. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Feng's attacks were earth-shattering, and the waves were endless. Yuan Litian's defense was impenetrable and as firm as a rock. The control techniques he released from time to time were even more unpredictable. The two of them were locked in a fierce battle. They didn't notice that the changes in the swamp were getting more and more intense. The bubbles kept increasing, and the swamp was shaking slightly. The swamp was like a volcano on the verge of eruption. A terrifying feeling had already appeared. Chapter 1746. Something's wrong. Lin Feng, who was in the middle of a fierce battle, suddenly felt a chill in his heart. His eyes widened, and his heart raced. It was a kind of vigilance that came from the bottom of his heart. With his heaven-rank cultivation, he instantly sensed the strangeness and peculiarity of the swamp. Lin Feng pursed his lips, and his expression suddenly changed. Bang! Switching from offense to defense, Lin Feng quickly retreated. He would rather lose his advantage and retreat. It was an extremely dangerous feeling, as if he was close to death. Without knowing the situation, he had to defend. Oh, on the other side, Yuan Litian's control skill worked. He decisively counterattacked and forced Lin Feng to retreat. This was a rare opportunity. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, and he shot out like a sharp arrow, turning into a cold black light. Die! Yuan Litian's attack was as fast as lightning. Cold black blades shot toward Lin Feng. Endless darkness was released from his hands, and a demon image appeared in the void. It roared ferociously and wanted to devour Lin Feng. Yuan Litian's blood-red eyes were bloodshot. His aura instantly suppressed Lin Feng, and his strength suddenly increased. But at this moment, boom! Rumble! The originally slight fluctuations in the swamp suddenly became as loud as thunder. It was as terrifying as a magma eruption. Endless mud sprayed up, and a poisonous black fog accompanied by a strong, rotten smell appeared. The violent rumbling shook the sky and earth. Whoosh! A cloud of extremely dense black fog instantly sprayed on Yuan Litian, completely enveloping him. Yuan Litian's eyes widened, and he was extremely shocked. His body was completely unable to move, as if he had fallen into a swamp. His vision was completely blocked, and the rotten smell made him nauseous. All of his strength seemed to have been swallowed by a swamp at this moment. The powerful dark energy completely swallowed him. He was completely caught off guard. Ah! A shrill voice sounded in the thick black fog. Lin Feng, who was not far away, looked at it and was also shocked. It was a black evil beast that could not be seen clearly. It looked like a jellyfish, but also like an octopus. It was very huge. What a terrifying poisonous gas. It was Lin Feng's first time seeing such a poisonous gas. Yuan Litian, a dignified 5-star expert, was actually trapped inside and unable to move. At this moment, the dark energy within the black fog was flowing out in a frenzy. The black fog seemed to be constantly being pulled, changing its shape like plasticine. Although it was impossible to see what was happening inside, it was completely imaginable. Yuan Litian was struggling. The changes in the black fog plasticine gradually slowed down from the beginning, and then calmed down until it stopped moving. The black evil beast let out a sound like a salamander, and suddenly inhaled, sucking in the black fog of plasticine. The swamp fluctuated violently, and bubbles kept popping out. With a puff, the black evil beast drilled into the swamp and disappeared without a trace. From the moment he appeared to the moment he left, only the blink of an eye had passed. Lin Feng stared at the sky in shock. Yuan Litian's original position had already disappeared without a trace. Even his aura had disappeared without a trace. Everything had happened too suddenly, and it was hard to believe. Yuan Litian, a 5-star expert, was swallowed just like that? Lin Feng felt his heartbeat quicken and his breathing quickened. He originally thought that there would be a winner between him and Yuan Litian this time. But who would have thought that the final outcome would be like this? The sudden appearance of a black evil beast in the swamp instantly broke the balance. This evil beast should be stronger than the giant red tree at the entrance. Lin Feng thought. While thinking, Lin Feng suddenly felt a chill in his heart. His brows furrowed, and his body turned into a stream of light, quickly escaping from his original position. At this moment, a huge black figure sprang out of the originally calm swamp. Whoosh! It was still that disgusting black fog, and it appeared at Lin Feng's original position almost in the blink of an eye. Very quickly, and there was no time to defend. However, Lin Feng had already escaped. Swoosh! Lin Feng's eyes flickered, and he finally saw the true appearance of the black evil beast. It was a 7-legged monster with the appearance of a salamander and the body of an octopus, but its whole body was wrapped in the mud of the swamp, and it was difficult to distinguish. Return to Zero Cross. Lin Feng instantly shot out a space treasure and went straight to the black octopus evil beast to check its situation. The space distorted, and a silver cross directly cut the black octopus evil beast. Each silver blade was like a saber, cutting its skin, and mud flew everywhere. The black octopus evil beast made an unpleasant sound, and Lin Feng's eardrums violently vibrated. Sound wave attack. Chi, chi, chi. Lin Feng clenched his teeth, and the cross returned to Zero Cross, continuously attacked. But the black octopus evil beast's skin was smooth under the mud, like a loach, and it was very powerful. Nevertheless, the pain still made the black octopus evil beast howl. Whoosh! The black fog in the void disappeared. The black octopus dove into the mud of the swamp and turned into a giant poisonous gas bubble. Then, it disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng frowned when he saw that the swamp was isolated from the probing aura. It escaped. It's not a 6-star evil beast, but a 5-star evil beast like the giant red tree. In the short confrontation just now, Lin Feng could clearly distinguish that although the black octopus evil beast killed Yuan Litian, he couldn't judge its true strength based on this. Only those who had fought it would know best. In a head-on fight, Yuan Litian may not lose. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Just like the giant red tree, Yuan Litian couldn't do anything to it, but the giant red tree also couldn't do anything to Yuan Litian. However, because of the special nature of the swamp, and because of his own restraint, Yuan Litian was unlucky. He was directly killed by the black octopus evil beast's sneak attack. Its attainments in the Tao of Darkness aren't inferior to Yuan Litian's. The most terrifying thing is, Lin Feng thought of the black miasma. It was like plasticine. Yuan Litian had actually died to this strange move. Did it spit it out? If this is a talent, it's a bit powerful. Lin Feng sighed. Talent and one's own strength complemented each other. Yuan Litian died under the talent ability of this black octopus evil beast, and it was not shameful. If he was trapped, he was afraid that he would have the same ending. After waiting for a while, Lin Feng was cautious. He released the perception of the heavens, eye cultivation, expecting the black octopus evil beast to appear again. But things didn't go as he wished. This guy doesn't hold a grudge at all. Lin Feng smiled. After being beaten up by him, if it were any other evil beast, it would have already attacked him, but this black octopus evil beast was nowhere to be seen. It just didn't come out after swallowing Yuan Litian. Phew! Lin Feng sighed softly and stared deeply at the swamp. There was no other way. It was impossible to sneak into the swamp and go to its territory to find it, right? Even if he had several lives, he wouldn't lose. Forget it. Let's go out and have a look. Captain and the others should be looking for me. Lin Feng thought, and then left the mysterious swamp. Chapter 1747. After going out, Lin Feng quickly found the captain and the other two. Just as he had expected, they were looking for him. They were afraid that he had fallen into Yuan Litian's trap and was ambushed. When they saw him, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Their concern was obvious. Often, it's good that you're fine. You were too reckless just now. Beijian scolded softly. Lin Feng felt warmth in his heart. He knew that the captain was concerned about him. He nodded and said, "I know, Captain. You really scared me to death." As usual the next day, she rolled her eyes and scolded him. Her beautiful eyes flickered as she asked curiously, "By the way, often, where's Yuan Litian?" "He's dead," Lin Feng replied. Swish! Everyone's expression changed, mixed with excitement and disbelief. "He's really dead?" Beijian's breathing quickened as she asked excitedly. Lin Feng nodded. As usual the next day, she looked at Lin Feng with admiration. "Often, you're so powerful. You killed Yuan Litian one-on-one." "It has nothing to do with me." Lin Feng smiled and said, "In fact, he was killed by a 5-star demonic beast." 5-star demonic beast. Everyone took a deep breath. What kind of 5-star demonic beast is that? It can even kill Yuan Litian. Beijian was amazed. Lin Feng then narrated everything that had happened in the mysterious swamp, causing the 3 Northern Stream elders to exclaim in surprise and look at each other in dismay. The entire process was truly bizarre, and even Lin Feng was stunned for a while. A 5-star expert died in such a way. Beijian sighed. That swamp demonic beast is so talented. As usual the next day, she pursed her lips and her beautiful eyes flickered. "It's not necessarily talent," Beijian said. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He immediately reacted and looked at Beijian. "Captain, you mean this is an evil beast unique to the 10,000 evil realm?" "Yes, the possibility is very high." Northern Stream nodded. "No matter how strong the talent is, it is still related to the strength of the demonic beast itself. Just as you said, often, this demonic beast killed Yuan Litian in an instant. It only put up a final struggle." Lin Feng nodded. Yuan Litian's struggle was like sinking into a bottomless swamp, which only worsened his death. At that moment, he felt that the difference in strength between the swamp evil beast and Yuan Litian was like the difference between heaven and earth. But in fact, that was not the case. Often, you fought with this swamp evil beast before. Apart from its special attack, it couldn't do anything to you at all, and you even had the upper hand. Northern Stream said seriously, "Often, your strength is on par with Yuan Litian's. No talent can be this strong. Of course, we can't rule out this possibility, but it's more likely that it's an evil creature, because the power of evil creatures isn't limited by strength." Evil creature. These 2 words came out from Northern Stream's mouth with a slight tremble. Lin Feng had heard the captain mention that the Azure Dragon auction house once auctioned an evil creature for a high price of 30 million void crystals, which was higher than the price of an ordinary treasure. The power of an evil creature was generally not comparable to a treasure, but there was one thing that an evil creature did not have, which was that it ignored the level of strength. In other words, even an ordinary warrior could use an evil creature to display a terrifying strength. Of course, the first thing to do was to resist the evil energy of the evil creature. "Evil creature," Lin Feng murmured, thinking back to the moment when the evil swamp beast had attacked. If he had this evil creature in his hands, he would be able to use it in close combat against someone of the same level as him. How terrifying would that be? He was not worried about the evil energy, as he was proficient in the Dark Demon Tao. He could even display the power of the evil creature. "If we can kill it, we'll be rich." Northern Stream did not hide his excitement at all. Ever since he entered the 1,000 evil regions, he had been dreaming of obtaining an evil item. At that time, Irulan and the grass python had said that he was daydreaming. Even he himself thought so too. But now, They had really found the existence of an evil creature. It's not easy. As usual, the next day frowned and whispered. Lin Feng nodded. If it hides in the swamp and does not come out, we can't do anything to it. Even if it leaves the swamp, with its defense and ability to escape, killing it is harder than ascending to the sky. He had fought with it before and knew how powerful this swamp evil beast was. It was difficult to win in its territory. Just like the giant red tree, they had an absolute advantage. Moreover, the swamp was quite dangerous, and it was very likely that he would lose his life. It was quite difficult to kill this swamp evil beast and obtain the evil creature. Let's put this aside for now and talk about it later. Lin Feng looked at everyone. Is the Black Ear clan all dead? Not a single one was left. Northern Stream's eyes flashed with gratification and sadness. Big Head should be able to rest in peace now that we have finally avenged him. As usual, the next day frowned and said angrily, "Damn the Black Ear clan." Thinking about the tragic death of the grass python, a few drops of tears appeared in their eyes. As usual, the next day was emotional. Their eyes were even more moist. Although they had avenged the Black Ear clan, they could not bring the dead back to life. Actually, Lin Feng looked at them and did not know what to say. Suddenly, whoosh, a huge figure appeared in front of them. It was wearing armor and had an exaggerated body proportion. Its head and upper body were huge, and its arms were extremely thick. It carried a giant axe on its back and revealed a familiar smile. Wasn't the grass python? What? Northern Stream, and as usual the next day were stunned. They stared blankly at the grass python that had suddenly appeared. Long time no see, everyone. The strong voice of the grass python sounded. It opened its arms and pulled Beijian into its embrace. The elf's frail body seemed to have been trapped in a cage. However, Northern Stream was only shocked at this moment. Big Head, you're a really big head. As usual the next day, she stretched out her trembling arms and gently touched the grass python. It's me, Asun. The grass python laughed and said, long time no see. You have become prettier. Whoosh. As usual the next day, her body trembled and tears fell uncontrollably. She cried and laughed at the same time. She sobbed and wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She could not help but cry and laugh at the same time. You bad guy. How could you make me cry so much? The grass python touched its head and tears appeared in its eyes. Big Head, you are really not dead. Ha ha ha. Northern Stream finally reacted. Although he did not know what had happened, seeing the grass python come back to life made him so excited that his face turned red and he spoke incoherently. The three of them hugged each other tightly. The friendship that had lasted for countless eras was extremely deep. Lin Feng stood in the distance and looked at this scene with relief. Everyone was finally reunited again. Although he had wasted a Song Lang pearl for the grass python, it was worth it. He didn't intend to trap or restrain the grass python, so nothing would change. That was enough. Feelings were priceless. Chapter 1748. As usual the next day, Beijian and the grass python's return made them overjoyed. They didn't mind Lin Feng's deliberate concealment because they knew why Lin Feng did this. Most importantly, the grass python was still alive. This was more important than anything else. I didn't expect you to be able to kill the Black Ears clan. The grass python sighed. Although he had survived before, he had never thought that such a day would come. That was the Black Ears clan, a team led by a 5-star expert. Back then, they might not even be able to deal with a 4-star expert. However, they were able to wipe out the entire Black Ears clan. Looking at his former companions, the grass python was filled with emotions. It's all thanks to Offing, Beijian said. Yes, without Offing, we would have died in the hands of the Black Ears clan. As usual the next day sighed. Both of them knew how much credit Lin Feng had contributed to this. The core of the team was no longer the leader, Beijian. It's all thanks to everyone, Lin Feng said humbly. Everyone modestly declined. The atmosphere in the group was quite good, and everyone was happy and harmonious. It's a pity that one of us escaped. Beijian sighed. The 5-star expert who was separated from Yuan Litian had successfully escaped. Lin Feng nodded. Although he had sent the King of Mountains to chase after him, the King of Mountains was only a 5-star expert. His opponent was a 5-star expert, so he had plenty of life-saving methods. Failure was expected. After all, Yuan Litian was the family head. He was quite experienced. As usual the next day, he said, the Black Ears clan experts we killed didn't have any treasures in their storage rings. After they entered, they probably didn't go out. Lin Feng said, when we bumped into them this time, they were about to go back. However, we stopped them, so they didn't have time to transfer their treasures. Bei Jian said, they should have put away all the treasures they dug out. No one objected to this speculation. As the head of the clan, Yuan Litian had absolute authority. He would naturally collect all the treasures and would not distribute them to the other clansmen. It's been 10 years. I'm afraid that the treasures in their storage rings would have piled up in the mountains. Northern Stream sighed. His eyes flickered. If we can get our hands on them, we won't have to worry about money for the rest of our lives. At that time, they had given the treasures in the inner region to the Black Ears clan. But now, they had the opportunity to obtain all the treasures that the Black Ears clan had obtained over the past 10 years. I'm looking forward to it. As usual the next day, he said softly, the treasure is either in Yuan Litian's hands or in the hands of the 5-star expert who escaped. The latter is unlikely, Lin Feng said. Why? Bei Jian, and as usual the next day were puzzled. Lin Feng looked at the two of them. If you were Yuan Litian, would you hand over the treasure to that 5-star expert? The two of them pondered for a while and shook their heads. I can't figure it out. Lin Feng said, the possibility is very small because Yuan Litian had already discovered us at that time. He wasn't sure if we would chase after that 5-star martial artist, so under normal circumstances, he wouldn't take the risk. After all, people always believe in themselves. If the treasure was in the hands of that 5-star expert and he caught him, the Black Ears clan's efforts would be in vain. Moreover, Yuan Litian was stronger. The treasure was most likely in the hands of the strongest and most powerful expert. So, all the treasures are in Yuan Litian's hands? Northern Stream was enlightened. It should be. Lin Feng frowned, but he was swallowed by the evil swamp beast, and even his storage ring disappeared. He had tried to sense it, but did not find anything. Because Yuan Litian died in the hands of the evil swamp beast, he did not leave anything behind. Let's go and get it back. As usual, the next day's beautiful eyes flickered. 10 years. After 10 years of exploration in this area, how much harvest would the Black Ears clan's team have gained? It was hard to estimate. Let's go to that swamp. Northern Stream said. A swamp evil beast not only had precious evil items, but also Yuan Litian's storage ring. How rich was it? Killing one of them was more profitable than killing 10 5-star evil beasts. If it was just an evil creature, they were not sure if they should take the risk. But with Yuan Litian's storage ring, they had to try no matter how risky it was. 10,000 evil territory outside the New Wind Gap. The Black Ears clan experts, led by the 5-star expert Yuan Yizong, were standing guard. This was a task given by the clan leader, Yuan Litian. Yuan Yizong would do his best to complete it, but he was still a little dissatisfied. He was stronger than Yuan Xiao, but Yuan Litian only brought along Yuan Xiao and not him. Suddenly, whoosh, a figure broke through the air. Yuan Yizong's expression changed as he became alert. He looked into the distance, only to see Yuan Xiao covered in blood. Yuan Yizong was a little confused. What's wrong, brother me? What happened? Yuan Yizong hurried over. It's nothing, Yuan Xiao said through gritted teeth. Where's the clan leader? Why are you alone? Yuan Yizong's heart skipped a beat. He subconsciously felt that something was wrong. Yuan Xiao said in a low voice, the clan leader is still inside. He has a secret mission for me. Continue to guard here and wait for me to return. Oh, Yuan Yizong nodded. Then Yuan Xiao dragged his injured body and left. He would not tell anyone that his second brother was in danger. After all, it was related to the rise and fall of the clan. He believed that everything his second brother asked him to do was important and had a purpose. He would not tell anyone what happened in the inner area, including his sworn brother, Yuan Zheng. Black Ears clan. Father, why is third uncle here? Yuan Wenkai asked curiously. Third uncle has some personal matters. He wants to find extreme lethal. The clan leader, Yuan Zheng, said lightly as he sipped his tea. Yuan Wenkai was puzzled. Why didn't third uncle ask second uncle? Why did he ask father? Yuan Zheng's hand paused for a moment. He said lightly, third brother might have some matters that he doesn't want second brother to know. Oh. Yuan Wenkai nodded thoughtfully and said in admiration, Father, you are so powerful. You can even contact such a mysterious extreme lethal without me knowing. Yuan Zheng said with a smile. It was a long time ago. I didn't mention it to you. Of course you. His voice paused in midair. Yuan Zheng's expression suddenly changed and his eyes turned sharp. Only his second brother, Yuan Litian, knew that he knew about extreme lethal. He had never told his third brother. How did his third brother know? Second brother told him? Yuan Zheng's eyes narrowed. Second brother told third brother to come find me. In other words, third brother's words are contradictory. This matter is very unusual. After a long silence, Yuan Zheng stood up. Let's go. Where? To father? Yuan Wenkai asked. Yuan Zheng said, to see what happened to your second uncle. Yuan Wenkai nodded, not fully understanding. Father, you know where second uncle is? Yuan Zheng smiled faintly. Of course he knew. He had planted a chess piece in his second brother's clan long ago. The five-star expert, Yuan Yitzong. Chapter 1749. Everyone should know that we have been completely exposed, Lin Feng said. The Northern Stream people nodded. The Black Ears clan might not have known about their existence, but now that one of them had escaped, it was obvious what happened next. Regardless of whether they had any enmity with the Black Ears clan, there could only be one winner in this land of treasures. People die for wealth, and birds die for food. This had been the case since ancient times. With our current strength, leaving is not a problem. Lin Feng said to everyone, the five-star Black Ears clan expert in Xian Feng is no match for us, but leaving means giving up on this place. Everyone fell silent. However, they knew that Lin Feng was telling the truth. It was easy to leave, but difficult to enter again. The Black Ears clan, which had suffered once, would not suffer a second time. After all, the Black Ears clan was one of the 18 top clans. Even the weakest clans had 6-star and 7-star experts. The branch that Yuan Litian belonged to was far from the strongest branch of the Black Ears clan. But if we don't leave, we don't know if we can leave again. Lin Feng did not deny everything, but he could not be too optimistic. It was hard to predict what would happen next. Everyone fell into deep thought. They were not stupid and had experienced many ups and downs. Naturally, they knew what Lin Feng meant. Leaving meant giving up on this mountain of treasures, amazing wealth, and opportunities. If they did not leave, it meant that they would have to fight with the Grim Reaper. Even if they earned an amazing amount of wealth, they might not be able to leave this place alive. I give up. The grass python laughed and looked at everyone. I'm lucky to be alive. With my current strength, I can't help you whether I leave or stay. As usual the next day, she gritted her teeth and hesitated. The Northern Stream frowned and clenched his fists. His mood was very complicated. This was a very difficult decision to make. One wrong move could very well result in a complete loss. The air fell into a suffocating silence. Lin Feng stood there and did not urge the Northern Stream to leave. As usual the next day, he would not affect them either. However, he did not have a second choice. No matter what the others chose, he would definitely stay here. Now that the opportunity had come, if he missed it, he didn't know when the next opportunity would come. Only with challenges would there be progress. However, if Beijian he wanted to leave, as usual the next day, he would not stop him. After all, everyone had their own aspirations. When it came to matters of life and death, there was no need for the minority to obey the majority. If anyone wanted to leave, he would send them away. The Black Ears clan wouldn't come so quickly. He waited for the two to make their choice. Lin Feng looked at the next day and then at Beijian. The two of them had been thinking for a long time. Beijian seemed to feel Lin Feng's gaze. He raised his head and his eyes lit up. Looks like the captain has made his decision, Lin Feng said with a smile. Beijian nodded heavily and revealed a relieved smile, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. I want to stay here. Oh, Lin Feng exclaimed softly. This doesn't seem like your style, Captain. Lin Feng said curiously. Although we haven't obtained many treasures, it's not a small amount either. It's enough for you to live peacefully for the rest of your life. The Beijian he knew would definitely choose to leave. He was wise and greedy. He wouldn't put himself in a furnace. Why would he make such a choice this time? Lin Feng looked at Beijian and knew that he didn't want to stay here for the sake of money. Captain wouldn't do such a stupid thing if he had money but didn't have a life to spend it. It's indeed not my style, Beijian laughed bitterly and said, but that's the old me. I've gained a lot here, and I've seen true experts. I've had a taste of what it's like to stand at the top. Beijian pursed his lips as his eyes burned with passion. Suddenly, I want to stay here. I want to continue staying here. I want to know where my limits are. Can I become a top expert in Origin Awakened Continent? What kind of level can my talent allow me to reach? There's too much I want to know. Beijian muttered and smiled as he looked at Lin Feng. So I want to stay here. Lin Feng smiled in response. Captain had unknowingly changed. He was no longer as indifferent and aloof as the elf clan. Now he had ambition, desire, and determination. He wanted to become a true expert. He wanted to become a true captain. He didn't want to be mediocre anymore. He had tasted the sweetness of being an expert. He had tasted the taste of controlling power. So, he desired more. Even a miser is willing to stay. If I leave, the Iluo clan will lose face. As usual the next day said, her beautiful eyebrows no longer furrowed. Instead, a bright smile appeared on her face. Evidently, she had thought things through. I also want to know if our Iluo clan's talent is truly lacking. If our aptitude is lacking, we will forever remain as a mid-tier clan. As usual the next day's beautiful eyes shone brightly. I want to prove to everyone that our Iluo clan can also be very strong. As usual the next day's beautiful eyes shone. I want to prove to everyone that our Iluo clan can also be very strong. We are not any weaker than the other clans. Although the Iluo clan did not have talent like the elf clan, as usual the next day did not give up. If they lost, they would only lose their lives. If they were mediocre for the rest of their lives, it would be better for them to bloom like fireworks. Have you decided? Lin Feng smiled as he looked at the two of them. Of course. Let's go. Beijian and the next day looked at each other, their eyes burning with passion. They did not want to return to the past. They wanted to become a true expert, an expert who could stand at the peak of Origin Awakened Continent. After making their decision, Beijian and the next day became even more determined. Under Lin Feng's lead, the four of them quickly entered the depths of the swamp. This was their current goal. The grass python returned to the Songlang territory to cultivate. After all, with his current strength, not only would he not be able to help the team, he would even drag them down. The grass python knew that he had missed out on too much in the past 10 years. However, with the support of Lin Feng and the others' treasures, as well as the good cultivation conditions, the grass python could easily catch up to a 4-star beast tamer. After all, his strength was not bad. What a strange swamp. As usual the next day entered, her beautiful eyes flickered. Her soul perception was not weak either. Naturally, she could smell the extraordinary danger here. Beijian's expression was solemn as he carefully followed beside Lin Feng. He did not dare to be careless. Even someone as strong as Yuan Litian had been killed by a sneak attack. His defense was much weaker than Yuan Litian's. Everyone's core was Lin Feng. Because of Lin Feng's existence, everyone dared to come to this swamp. Otherwise, not to mention that there were evil creatures in the swamp. Even if there were no evil creatures, their strength was not enough to deal with a 5-star evil beast. Chapter 1750. This was not an ordinary swamp. Every part of it was strange, sinister, and terrifying. It was difficult for ordinary experts to enter this place. The natural barrier of the swamp and the pervasive poisonous gas were quite lethal. However, the scariest thing was the swamp evil beast hiding under the swamp. No one knew when it would appear. Once it appeared, Its attack power was enough to kill anyone, including Lin Feng. Of course, the premise was that the sneak attack was successful. Don't go too far, Lin Feng reminded them. With his sensing ability, he could warn them before the swamp evil beast appeared. However, if they were too far away, it would be troublesome. All right, Beijian and Yi Rujin's expressions were solemn as they followed Lin Feng like his left and right protectors. The dark swamp was like a devil's hell. There were poisonous bubbles on the muddy ground. There were not only swamp evil beasts here, but also other poisonous insects and dangers. For example, whoosh, a big tree that was as thin as a match suddenly rose in revolt. Countless branches danced wildly, and the ugly bark on the tree trunk was like scales. Tree patterns appeared one after another, like the pupils of a demon. As usual the next day, she turned into countless phantoms and tried to get rid of the bone tree. However, each of her phantoms suffered the same attack. This bone tree was quite powerful. The characteristic of plant life was that it was not afraid of being outnumbered. Whoosh! Northern Stream's arrows were fast. The bone tree was afraid of the 5-star level attack. However, plant life's strongest points were defense and tenacity. The strong defense of its branches completely blocked the arrows. Lin Feng watched from the side and did not interfere. This was a top-notch 4-star evil tree. In terms of strength alone, it was indeed not bad. However, Captain and Yi Ruhuan were fighting 2 against 1, so the situation was different. He needed to train himself, and so did the team leader. He could easily kill this evil tree, but it was not necessary. The team could not rely only on themselves. This swamp evil beast is really calm. It just doesn't show up. Since entering the swamp, there had been no trace of the swamp evil beast. Lin Feng also felt that it was troublesome. He came for the swamp evil beast, but it did not even appear. How could he kill it? Did it really sneak into the swamp? It will definitely appear. When it sneaked out to kill Yuan Litian, it proved that it could sense the aura of life above the swamp. Lin Feng thought and carefully recalled the battle that day. From the beginning to the end, he did not miss a single detail. Scenes appeared in his mind one after another, from the abnormal fluctuations in the swamp to the appearance of the evil swamp beast and the killing of Yuan Litian. There must be something hidden in all of this, something that he did not know. What attracted the swamp evil beast to appear? The aura of the battle, or the aura of the treasure on Yuan Litian? Or perhaps the area where we are fighting is its habitat? Oh, Lin Feng pondered. Obviously, this evil beast had a certain level of consciousness, so it could sneak attack, escape, and control evil creatures. It was stronger and more difficult to deal with than the evil beast that had completely lost its mind. In order to kill it, the first thing to do was to lure it out. Lin Feng looked at the fierce battle between Northern Stream and Northern Stream. As usual the next day was also an experiment, hoping to lure the snake out of its hole. However, the swamp evil beast did not move at all. Until the end of the battle, there was no change in the swamp. This place was like a corner of hell. It was dead silent. The fall of an evil tree did not affect the swamp at all. It was still gloomy and terrifying. There was no sign of life. So powerful. Northern Stream breathed a sigh of relief. On the other side, Irujin's beautiful eyes flashed. She floated in the air as if she was thinking about something. Compared to Northern Stream's auxiliary attacks, Irujin was fighting in close combat. Every moment was a real battle. This kind of battle benefited her a lot. Yes, this evil tree is comparable to several 4-star experts working together, Lin Feng said. It was quite difficult to fight against an evil tree. Even if his strength had improved greatly, he was not confident that he could defeat the giant red tree at the entrance. I spent a lot of effort and finally won, but I didn't get anything. Northern Stream smiled bitterly. How can you not get anything? Look at Rushuan. Lin Feng pointed at, as usual the next day. The latter's beautiful eyes flashed. She seemed to have understood something and smiled excitedly. Northern Stream smiled knowingly. He was happy for Rushuan when he saw that she had gained something. Actually, the evil tree is a good practice target. It has strong defense, weak attack, and strong tenacity. As long as you stay away from its attack range, you'll be fine, Lin Feng said. That's true, Northern Stream said. Don't be envious of Rushuan. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future, Captain. Lin Feng smiled. Northern Stream smiled and nodded. He was now at the peak of 4-star. If he could break through, he would become a 5-star expert. This was unimaginable before entering the 10,000 evil territory. But now he was very close to his goal. Unfortunately, the evil swamp beast still hasn't shown up. Northern Stream sighed. It doesn't matter. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. As long as it is in the swamp, we will find a way to get it out. Black-Ear's clan. Father, is there good news? Yuan Wenkai saw his father's expression and knew that there was hope. Yuan Zheng strode forward and laughed heartily. The heavens are helping me. I didn't expect second brother to find a new wind gap in the 10,000 evil territory. It is a new unexplored territory. Wow! Yuan Wenkai's eyes lit up. Then we are rich. Yuan Zheng nodded with ambition in his eyes. If we can get enough treasures, our clan will be able to enter the top 10 clans of the Black-Ear's clan. We will truly revitalize our clan. Great! Yuan Wenkai was overjoyed and clenched his fists. Yuan Wenkai suddenly thought of something and hesitated. But second uncle and the others found a new wind gap. If we do this, the clan is the most important thing. Put your personal feelings aside. Yuan Zheng looked at Yuan Wenkai and said, Kai, you will take over the clan in the future and become the head of the clan. Remember one thing, don't put your personal feelings into it. As long as it benefits the clan, do it. No matter what. Yuan Wenkai nodded as if he understood. Yes, father. Yuan Zheng nodded. Gather the 1st, 3rd, and 4th elite squads immediately. Get ready to go. Can I go, father? Yuan Wenkai asked expectantly. Yuan Zheng nodded. You are already a 5-star expert, but you are inexperienced. With me leading you this time, you could train well. Go gather the 3 elite squads. Yes, father. Yuan Wenkai was excited. Chapter 1751. The Black-Ears had many family branches and family clans. They were like a big tree with countless branches. Every branch wanted to be thicker and more powerful. Yuan Litian and Yuan Zheng were the same. As the family head, they had to consider the tribe's interests. Yuan Litian's family clan was just one of the ordinary families in the Black-Ears clan. Therefore, he purposely tried to please Yuan Zheng and become sworn brothers with him. His goal was to find a backer. Yuan Zheng was not stupid. He had secretly made arrangements in Yuan Litian's clan. Everyone was making use of each other. He could know Yuan Litian's every move as long as he wanted to, including the location of the new wind gap. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. With Yuan Zheng as the leader, a group of Black-Ears clan experts arrived. Among them were the 7 members of the 1st elite team, the 15 members of the 3rd elite team, and the 23 members of the 4th elite team. The captains of the 3 teams were all 6-star experts, including the family head, Yuan Zheng. There were a total of 4 6-star experts. The rest were 5-star experts. It was a mighty lineup. The 1st elite team had 7 people. Apart from the leader, who was a 6-star expert, the other 6 people were extremely close to 6-star. They cooperated well and were not inferior to a 7-star team. The arrival of this group of experts was enough to stun the Black-Ears who were guarding Xinfeng Pass. Yuan Yizong had been bribed by Yuan Zheng, so he naturally would not stop them. He led the Black-Ears to the side. Of course, he could not stop them even if he wanted to. He would be courting death. He was the only 5-star expert in the entire team. Anyone in Yuan Zheng's group was a top-notch 5-star expert. The difference was too great. New wind gap. Yuan Wenkai's breathing quickened. It was his first time seeing it, and he was extremely excited. Zhanlong, lead the team and guard this place. Kill anyone who tries to enter. Yuan Zheng's expression was indifferent. His voice was cold. Anyone who tries to come out, kill them too. Yes, family head. Yuan Zhanlong, the leader of the 4th elite team, replied with cupped fists. The Black-Ears who were guarding the place were dumbfounded. Kill them all. Kill all of them without mercy? In other words, even if their family head came out, they would still be killed? Weren't they sworn brothers? Patriarch, what should we do with them? Yuan Zhanlong coldly glanced at the Black Ears clan members who were originally guarding this place. Yuan Zheng looked at Yuan Wenkai. Wenkai, what do you think? Yuan Wenkai smiled. Isn't that simple? Father, those who obey me will prosper, and those who oppose me will perish. Wasn't that what you taught me? Okay. Yuan Zheng revealed a satisfied smile. In the eyes of the Black Ears clan experts, they were completely dumbfounded. What did he mean? I, Yuan Yizong, am willing to submit. The leader, Yuan Yizong, was Yuan Zheng's man. He was the first to kneel down and said respectfully. The members behind him immediately reacted. A wise man submits to circumstances, and the sound of kneeling rang out, acknowledging their allegiance. To them, it was fine as long as they could stay alive. As for the patriarch, it was impossible for the patriarch to leave this place alive. This was not something they could worry about. The experts of the Black Ears race couldn't help but lament. Reality was just so cruel. The so-called brotherhood was fake. In front of absolute benefits, it couldn't withstand a single blow. Outside Xianfeng Pass, the strong preyed on the weak. Inside Xianfeng Pass, the battle was equally fierce. Lin Feng and the others had stayed in the endless swamp for a long time. They had killed countless evil trees and poisonous insects, but they still couldn't lure the swamp evil beast out. It was as if it had suddenly disappeared. No matter how fierce the battle outside was, the swamp evil beast didn't move at all. Could it have fallen asleep? As usual the next day, someone asked curiously. I don't know. Lin Feng Pass shrugged. This guy, don't tell me it scared you last time often. That's why it didn't come out when it smelled your aura. Northern Stream said in boredom, looking around. Lin Feng couldn't help but stare blankly for a moment. That's right, why didn't I think of that? Last time, the swamp evil beast was defeated by me and fled. Under normal circumstances, a swamp evil beast controlled by evil aura would have no spiritual intelligence and would continue to attack. However, this swamp evil beast obviously had spiritual intelligence. It could run away last time, so it was entirely possible that it wouldn't come out this time. This was probably a timid swamp evil beast. Although his perception was strong, it was not enough to see through this strange swamp. On the contrary, the swamp evil beast could sense the aura above the swamp, including himself. It seems that I thought too much before. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He thought of all kinds of possibilities, and the more he thought, the more complicated it became. However, he didn't think that it was actually very simple. Whether it was evil beast, monster beast, or exotic beast, the weak would naturally be afraid of the strong. This was nature. But if that was the case, it would be difficult. If he wasn't there, the captain, and as usual the next day, even with Yu Mingzi, would not be a match for the swamp evil beast. If he was there, the swamp evil beast wouldn't come out, and it would be completely futile. The biggest problem was that he couldn't sense the swamp evil beast, but it could sense him. Its soul strength can't be stronger than mine because of this swamp. Lin Feng was very clear that if it weren't for this swamp, he would be able to sense the location of the swamp evil beast. Strange, what is this swamp? Why can it block soul exploration? Lin Feng was very curious. Generally, there are only a few possibilities that could block soul exploration. First, it was a restriction or a ray, such as the giant mountain restriction. Second, it was a very strong energy that was far beyond the level of strength. Third, it was a soul defense treasure. This swamp didn't have any restrictions or formations, nor did it have any powerful energy. As for soul defense treasures, it was even less of a concern. What was it? Should I go in and have a try? Lin Feng suddenly had this idea in his mind. Although he knew it was dangerous, the danger and challenge stimulated his heart, and he was eager to try. If it was the same as the giant mountain restriction, wouldn't he miss the opportunity? What? It can't be, right? As usual the next day, Northern Stream and Yu Mingzi were stunned by Lin Feng's boldness. They entered the dark swamp filled with poisonous miasma. Moreover, in this muddy and horrible swamp, there was an unfathomable 5-star swamp evil beast, which controlled powerful evil creatures. Outside, he was afraid of it, but if he entered the swamp, he would send himself to be eaten by it. It doesn't matter. It is always afraid of me. Lin Feng looked at the dark and poisonous swamp. With his dark devil path and physical defense, he was not afraid of it. As for danger, which place in the inner area was safe? Moreover, if there was a restriction under the swamp, he wouldn't be able to sense it outside the restriction, but he would be able to sense it once he entered the restriction and formed another world. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Lin Feng said to the three with a smile, "You don't have to wait for me. If you encounter danger, go back to the giant mountain restriction array first. I will find you when I come out." Seeing that Lin Feng had made up his mind, the three nodded and agreed. Chapter 1752. Enter the swamp. This required a considerable amount of courage, because no one knew what dangers lay in the swamp. Just a swamp evil beast that appeared and disappeared mysteriously was enough to make an ordinary expert suffer. Whoosh! Lin Feng's peak chaos hole profound treasure, the brilliant sacred armor, lit up. Light-type treasures more or less had a restraining effect on darkness. Even if they were not of the holy light Tao, with his strength, he could easily resist the evil aura and poison swamp even without a chaos hole profound treasure. But as soon as he entered the swamp, he wanted to focus all his energy on other aspects. Chi! Lin Feng's body dived into a swamp, and a suction force came from below. A powerful force came from below, and Lin Feng quickly fell down in a straight line. The swamp was completely dark, and it was completely suffocating, but there was no obstruction. He spread out his senses, and it was like searching in a pitch-black starry sky. There was only darkness, and he could barely detect a little bit, but there was no sign of life. Chi! He continued to sink, as if he had fallen into an endless hell. This feeling was terrifying, but Lin Feng did not panic. He focused his eyes and sensed everything around him, facing any possible changes. Pa! 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 The evil aura and poison were pervasive, invading his body. If it were any other warrior, even if they had the best armor, it would be difficult to block this pervasive poison. But Lin Feng was different. The powerful heaven-rank cultivator had complete control over his body and protected his soul. Although a considerable amount of poison had seeped into his body, he was not poisoned. Diving into the endless swamp was as easy as pie. The suction force is getting stronger. After falling for an hour, Lin Feng felt that the suction force had reached its peak. This kind of power was not something he could resist. At least, he could not get rid of it now. This is a bit troublesome. Lin Feng frowned slightly. At this rate, even if he killed the swamp evil beast, he would not be able to come out. But it was useless to think about this now because it was far from that time. Right now, he could not even determine the swamp evil beast location. Oh! Suddenly, Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and his eyes suddenly lit up. We're here! He spread out his senses and sensed the existence of a barrier. It was very similar to the barrier above. If he guessed correctly, this barrier was Chi. Lin Feng's body passed through a thin membrane, and the extreme spatial energy covered him. The black vortex spun rapidly, and the heaven centipede cultivator who had been suppressed by the swamp's poisonous gas was finally released, as if he had broken free from his shackles. So beautiful! Lin Feng was stunned. What entered his eyes was a peach blossom spring that was filled with beautiful flowers and fragrant flowers. It was as if it was isolated from the rest of the world, yet it was so beautiful. The beauty of the scenery here was in stark contrast to the evil swamp outside, and for a moment, he was a little stunned. The expected demonic beasts were everywhere, and it was full of desolation and barrenness. Killing and bloodshed were nowhere to be seen. Everything here was so peaceful and comfortable, full of beauty, as if they had come to another world. If he hadn't entered it himself, it would have been hard to believe. The evil swamp beast is here. Lin Feng was a bit puzzled. He spread out his aura, and his heart trembled slightly. He instantly sensed many life auras, but they were vaguely different from what he had sensed before. It was not a demonic beast. In addition to the evil trees, demonic beasts, and poisonous insects in this swamp, there is a fourth life form. Lin Feng just thought in his heart, and suddenly his face changed. Not good. What he had sensed just now alarmed the life forms here. It was not that their soul power was strong, nor that they were alert, but their strength was terrifying. Even if his soul detection was hidden, after all, his strength was only at the 5-star level. He might be able to detect ordinary 6-star powerhouses, but what about powerful 6-star powerhouses or even 7-star powerhouses? The greater the gap in strength, the more difficult it would be. In the face of absolute strength, the effect of skills would be greatly weakened. Lin Feng hurriedly ran away, but stopped after a short while. It was not that he didn't want to run away, but that he couldn't. The speed of the other party was too fast, several times faster than his, and it was impossible for him to escape. If he wanted to leave this peach blossom spring, the suction force under his feet was too strong, and it was easy to enter, but difficult to leave. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. The other party didn't show any killing intent, so maybe they were friends and not enemies. Their minds shouldn't be affected by the evil aura. Lin Feng thought to himself. At this time, 3 powerful auras had arrived, and they were extremely fast. There was a great similarity in their auras, and they were the same type of life form. Swish, swish, swish. 3 green figures arrived in an instant, and formed a triangle to surround him. Oh! Lin Feng looked over. The 3 green figures were all topless, and they stood on 3 legs. Their skin was dark green, and there were demonic patterns on it, showing their muscles and veins. They were very strong. There were fish-like scales on both sides of their faces, and there were triangular ears on their foreheads. A pair of green eyes looked over, and it made people shudder. It was not their eyes that were sharp, but their strength. They were at least 6-star, not to mention the 3 of them. Even any one of them could easily kill him. In the face of such a strong enemy, resistance was futile, but they did not seem to have the intention to kill him. Demons, Lin Feng said in the language of the demons. One of the green men nodded. Human, you can speak the language of the demons? Lin Feng smiled. I have a part of the demon bloodline. Ha! Another green man sneered. Do you think we won't kill you just because you say that? Lin Feng smiled and said, Seniors, your strength far surpasses mine. It's up to you to kill me or not. The third green man said, There's no need to flatter. Everyone who comes to the Green Tree region has to complete the same test. Our Green Tree tribe has always won people over with virtue. It's up to you whether you can survive or not. Green Tree tribe? Test? Lin Feng was startled. Although he didn't know where the Green Palm Tree clan that won people over with virtue had come from, it was obvious that this was a clan that wasn't any weaker than the Black Ears clan. Just based on what he had sensed just now, there was already a 7-star powerhouse. The Black Ears tribe was one of the 18 top tribes, and the strongest was only a 7-star powerhouse. Could it be that the Green Tree tribe is also one of the 18 top tribes? Lin Feng frowned. He did not remember this so-called Green Tree tribe among the 18 top tribes. However, he did not have the time to think so much at the moment. Soon, he was invited by the 3 6-star powerhouses of the Green Tree tribe to participate in the test. Lin Feng was also helpless. He originally came to hunt the swamp evil beasts, but he inexplicably came to the Green Tree region. Obviously, this was the territory of the Green Tree tribe, and they had their unique set of rules. It seemed that it would not be easy to survive here. If it was a blessing, it would not be a curse. If it was a curse, it could not be avoided. I can only act according to the circumstances, Lin Feng thought to himself, but he also went with the flow. However, what was the test they were talking about? Chapter 1753. Lin Feng didn't have any other thoughts. Since he couldn't leave, he might as well blend in. Along the way, he became more familiar with the 3 Green Tree race experts and learned a lot about the Green Tree race and the Green Tree domain. All newcomers had to go to the core of the Green Tree domain to take the test. This was the rule of the Green Tree race, and no one was an exception. If one failed the test, they would naturally die. However, if they successfully completed the test, they would gain the friendship and respect of the Green Tree race and be treated as an honored guest. It sounded like the Green Tree race was very reasonable. What's the success rate? Lin Feng asked. It's all right. In the past 10,000 eras, 99 people took the test, and 8 survived. One of the green tree race experts, Yao Shun, answered. Yes. Lin Feng nodded. The survival rate was close to 10%. It wasn't high, but it wasn't low either. At the very least, it meant that there was a chance, and that the green tree race wasn't deliberately making things difficult for him. However, there are tens of thousands of people who didn't qualify to take the test and died. Another green tree race expert, Marquis Yao Feng, said. Lin Feng was stunned. One needed to be qualified to take the test? Don't you boast that you win people over with virtue? Why don't you give others the right to take the test? Lin Feng was puzzled. The third green tree race expert, Yao Mengchong, glanced at him. First, you have to qualify to take the test. What do you mean? Lin Feng didn't understand. Don't be impatient. You'll know when you get there. Yao Shun answered. Lin Feng nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Indeed, he would know when he got there. Since he couldn't get anything out of them, he might as well make more preparations. Along the way, he calmed himself and prepared for battle. He was in peak condition. In the past 10,000 eras, including those who didn't qualify to take the test, tens of thousands of experts have come here. Lin Feng thought to himself. In other words, there wasn't only one entrance here. Among the 18 dangerous places, the myriad evil region was more than 10,000 eras, or even 100,000 eras old. This inner region was a brand new region that hadn't been explored. In other words, no one had entered the swamp in the past 10,000 eras. Therefore, these tens of thousands of experts obviously didn't enter the swamp like him, but through other means. There's definitely a way to leave this place. However, right now, we must first complete the green palm tree races test. Oh no, we must first obtain the qualifications to participate in the test. The qualification to participate in the test was not something that could be obtained easily. The proportion was even lower than the proportion of people who had completed the test. He sped along the way. Along the way, Lin Feng sensed many auras. Most of them were 5-star and 6-star, but there were also quite a few 7-star auras. This was undoubtedly a top-notch clan. Moreover, judging from the number of 7-star martial artists they were comparable to the top-notch clans like the Holy Light clan, the Thunder God clan, and so on. Just like the Black Ears, the Green Palm race was also divided into many branches, forming many small tribes. Yao Shun, Yao Fenhao, and Yao Mengchong came from the same bloodline. All the branches were like stars that adorned the core area of the Green Palm race. The Green Palm race's holy land was where the experts of the main branch of the Green Palm race lived. The statues of the Green Palm race's ancestors were erected there for the future generations to worship and admire. Speaking of the holy lands, Yao Shun and Marquis Yao Mengchong's face was filled with reverence. Reverence came from the bottom of his heart. For the devil race, this is rare. The devil race that Lin Feng knew was a race that respected the strong. They could abandon everything for power and were very indifferent to emotions. The devil race did not know what it meant to worship their ancestors. The devil race was a race that respected power. The only people they respected were those who were stronger than them. However, many devil races' bloodlines were not pure. They were often tainted with the bloodlines of humans, Yao, and other races, causing the nature of the devil race to change greatly. For example, the AI Chi devil race that he encountered when he first came to Origin Awakened Continent was very emotional. He seemed to have seen some of this in the Green Palm race. If it was a normal devil race, why would they say win people with virtue all the time? Lin Feng found it interesting. His mind moved, and he looked forward. He couldn't help but exclaim softly. The thick world spirit energy was mixed with astounding, evil energy that was dozens of times thicker than the evil energy outside. The evil energy here pointed to the true essence of the Dark Devil Tao, like the evolution of the Tao. Holy Land. The Green Palm race's Holy Land. 2 words suddenly appeared in Lin Feng's mind. At this time, Yao Shun's voice sounded in his ears. We have arrived. Whoosh! The Yao and Shun devils led Lin Feng into the core area of the Green Palm race. The Holy Land was at the center of the core area. Ordinary Green Palm race members could not enter, let alone Lin Feng. Compared to the other tribes, the core area was much more lively. Green palm race experts could be seen everywhere. Green skin and a naked upper body. Even a woman would only cover the important parts of her body. The green palm race inherited the characteristics of the devil race. They had strong physical strength, and their attainments in the Tao of strength were very deep. He could feel the explosive power from every green palm tree race member. Although he had never fought with them before, he could clearly feel the explosive power that they possessed. If I can complete the test, I must spar with them. Lin Feng was also looking forward to it. He also walked the Tao of strength. If he could comprehend something from here, it would be a worthwhile trip. It's humans this time? Yes, I haven't seen a human in a long time. Not just humans, I haven't seen any other experts in this era. Finally, one has come. Let's go and see. On the way, Lin Feng's arrival attracted a lot of discussion and attention. The Green Palm Race experts were very happy. They could obtain a lot of information from their conversation. Lin Feng looked at Yao Shun and said with a smile, "I feel like I've become a rare treasure." Yao Shun said, "Because the Battle of Death is a great event in our race. Everyone is happy to watch." All right, Lin Feng smiled bitterly. There was never too many people watching a show. Lin Feng quickly came to a huge open space. Beautiful flowers swayed in the wind. Although the evil energy here was much denser than the outside world, there was also dense spirit energy. The environment was very good. At the center of the open space was a protruding, circular stone platform. The stone platform flashed with dim light. At this moment, many Green Tree Clan experts had already gathered in the surroundings, and it was just as he'd sensed earlier. They were mostly 5-star and 6-star experts, followed by 4-star experts, and there were even more 7-star experts than 3-star experts. They're all here to watch a show. Lin Feng was very curious. He was faintly more interested in the test he was about to participate in. What kind of test could attract so many Green Palm Race experts to watch? Or was this just a traditional rule of the Green Palm Race? Because no one had participated in the test for a long time, it was very lively now. No matter what, I'll do my best. Lin Feng nodded. Chapter 1754. Seventh Elder. Yao Shun and the others bowed respectfully. Lin Feng also lowered his head slightly. The strength of this old man in front of him was unfathomable. He was clearly a 7-star expert. His solemn expression carried the aura of a superior. He stroked his long beard slightly as he looked over and sized Lin Feng up. A slightly surprised expression appeared on his face. "What's wrong, 7th Elder? Is there something wrong?" Yao Shun asked. Lin Feng himself was also puzzled. Was there something strange about him? Why did 7th Elder's expression change so drastically? "Little guy, how old are you?" The 7th Elder squinted his eyes. His solemn expression changed. In a split second, he looked like a benevolent grandpa as he revealed a smile. "How old?" Lin Feng was also startled. He didn't expect this to be the first question a 7-star powerhouse of the Green Tree race would ask him. The Fallen Battle is a grand event of our race. Our Green Tree race respects powerhouses, regardless of whether they are of our race or not. Yao Shun said to Lin Feng, "If you want to participate in the test, you must first survive the Fallen Battle." "What's the Fallen Battle?" Lin Feng was puzzled. Yao Shun said, "The Fallen Battle is a battle where one party is bound to fall. This battle method has been prevalent in our race for a long time. There are no draws, no exchanges, only survival and challenge." "Me and the Green Tree race's clansmen?" Lin Feng said. He still had a chance against a 5-star powerhouse. If it was a 6-star powerhouse, he had no chance of winning at all. Yao Shun said, "That's why 7th Elder asked your age. In the Green Tree domain, age is measured in epochs. 1 epoch is 1 epoch, 10 epochs is 10 epochs. The rule of the Fallen Battle is that both parties are not older than 10 epochs." 7th Elder said with a smile, "If I'm not wrong, little guys should be less than 10 epochs, right? Less than 10 epochs." As soon as 7th Elder said this, Yao Shun and the others were all stunned. "So young?" Lin Feng nodded. "If we calculate based on the age of the Green Tree domain, I should be less than 1 epochs now." Lin Feng's words were so shocking that Yao Shun and the others were instantly dumbfounded. Did they hear it wrong? Less than 1 epics and 5-star strength? Impossible. Marquis, Yao blurted out. Are you kidding me? Yao Mengchang's eyes widened. Even among the elite descendants of the Green Tree tribe who had entered the Holy Land, it was rare for them to become 5-star powerhouses within 10 eras, let alone those who were only 1 era old. Their potential had yet to be fully tapped. Even the 7th Elder was surprised. He had seen many people, but this was the first time he had seen someone like Lin Feng. He was not even 1 era old, yet he already had such strength, unlimited potential. Well, Yao Shun frowned and looked at 7th Elder, as if to ask him if he was telling the truth about Lin Feng's age. The 7th Elder closed his eyes slightly, as if silently agreeing. Then what about Yunzhan, 7th Elder? Yao Shun asked. As usual, the 7th Elder said indifferently, rules are rules. Our Green Palm Tree tribe must win people over with virtue. In the past, we also bullied others. The difference in strength is huge. Now we're just being bullied by others. There's no difference. Listening to the conversation between the two, Lin Feng vaguely understood some of it. Yunzhan was selected based on age. If the gap was less than 10 eras, then with his age, the opponents he could find would be within 11 eras. Among the Green Palm Tree clansmen of this age, there seemed to be no one who could fight him to the death. The tens of thousands of experts who entered like me all died in Yunzhan. Lin Feng understood. The Green Palm Tree tribe's aptitude, cultivation environment, and conditions were all outstanding. They were far above the other tribes in origin awakened continent. It was no wonder that other experts could not beat them in Yunzhan. However, Yunzhan should be an exception. Looking at the hesitant expressions of Yao Shun and the other two, he knew how difficult it was for them. After all, they were the ones who brought him here, and Yunzhan was imperative. It was a qualification test before he completed the test. More importantly, one side must die in Yunzhan. Right now, they were not choosing which Green Palm Tree clansman to kill him, but choosing their clansman to die. Yao Shun and the other two naturally had ugly expressions. Start as soon as possible, the 7th Elder ordered. Yes, Yao Shun and the other two were unwilling, but they still obeyed. Below the Yunzhan platform, numerous Demon Clan experts gathered, exuding a powerful aura. Most of them were 5-star and 6-star experts, but there were also many 3-star and 4-star experts mixed in. Generally, those who entered the core area of the Green Palm Tree domain were the descendants of the main tribe. Their aptitudes and talents were quite good. Look, 100 Yunzhan clansmen have come out. I envy them so much. They can fight to their heart's content. I wonder who will be chosen. Yao Ling? Yao Yijian? Aren't they less than 5 years old? Wow, am I seeing things? Yao Hong is also here. She's only 2 eras this year. What's going on? The clansmen in this Yunzhan battle are so young. A stone stirred up 1,000 ripples. The appearance of 100 Yunzhan clansmen instantly caused a huge uproar. Those with sharp eyes quickly discovered that the oldest clansman was only 11 years old, and the youngest was only 1 era. The difference in strength was even greater. There were 2-star to 5-star experts, and most of them were 3-star and 4-star experts. After all, the average strength of the clansmen at this age was only 3-star. So the outsider in this Yunzhan battle is only 1 era old. The experienced Green Palm Tree clansmen quickly analyzed and were shocked. Generally, those who could break into the Green Palm Tree domain were at least 4-star experts. This outsider with this level of strength was at least a few dozen years old. Only 1 era old? What a joke. Maybe he entered by accident. If he's 1 era old, then so be it. He's probably just a 1-star expert. At most, he won't exceed 2-star. Boring. It's too boring to watch 2 2-star experts in a Yunzhan battle. Actually, it won't be boring. I'm used to watching experts fight. Occasionally, I'll watch children play. In order to survive, I might be able to see something different. In the face of death, everyone is the same. Fear and desperation. It might not be a challenge between 2-star experts. Maybe he'll challenge Prince Yao. That's right. Prince Yao is also here. He's the pride of our Green Palm Tree race. He became a 5-star expert at 8 eras and he'll definitely become a 6-star expert at 30 years. He might very well challenge our ancestors' record and become a 7-star expert at 100 years. It'll be great if we can see Prince Yao fight. Haha, stop dreaming. Unless the outsider is stupid, why would he challenge Prince Yao? Who's the strongest? That's right. No matter what, the purpose of the Yunjian battle is not to learn from each other, but to survive. Amidst the whispers, Lin Feng, accompanied by Yao Shun and the other two, slowly arrived at the Yunjian battle platform. His appearance immediately caused another round of cheers, but they were disdainful voices. But in an instant, the green palm tree race experts were stunned. The sharp-eyed ones could see at a glance that the outsider participating in this Yunjian battle was extraordinary. He was definitely not a 1-star or 2-star expert, as they had guessed. He was the real deal, a 5-star expert. How could this be? The green palm tree race experts were stunned. Chapter 1755. It was no wonder that the green tree race's experts were stunned. Yao Shun and the other two had the same expression earlier. It was simply shocking to hear that a mere 1 era old had such strength. However, this was personally verified by the 7th Elder, so it could not be fake. Little fellow, you should know the rules of the fallen battle now, right? The 7th Elder asked kindly with a smile. Lin Feng nodded. He could choose any one of the 100 green tree race experts in front of him. One had to admit that the green tree race was quite fair. Just as they said, they won with virtue and did not take any advantage. It was the same for every previous fallen battle. However, the other challengers before him did not have any advantage compared to the green tree race. It's too unfair. Yes, how can we let a 5-star expert choose his opponent? We're at a disadvantage. The green tree race experts could not help but complain. No one wanted to see their clansmen being trampled by an outsider. It would boost the enemy's morale and destroy their own prestige. All kinds of voices sounded. It was extremely noisy. The arena was in chaos. Silence. The 7th Elder's heavy voice sounded like a mountain pressing down. It instantly silenced the green tree race clansmen. No one dared to act rashly in front of the powerful 7th Elder. Actually, they're right. Lin Feng suddenly opened his mouth and looked at the 7th Elder. If I were to choose the opponent, they would be at a disadvantage. Lin Feng smiled indifferently. You people often say that you use virtue to convince people. I also hope that I can convince demons with virtue. Lin Feng looked at the green tree race experts below. How about this? You can choose one of you to be my opponent. What do you think? Whoosh! His words caused a commotion. Yao Shun and the other two were stunned. Even the 7th Elder was slightly surprised. He looked at Lin Feng with deep meaning. At this time, there was a commotion below the fallen battle platform. The green tree race experts looked at Lin Feng with new eyes and praised him. That's more like a man. Well said, outsider. If he can win like this, we'll be convinced. A 5-star expert should fight another 5-star expert. The 7th Patriarch said to Lin Feng. Think about it carefully. This is a meteor battle, not a competition between humans. 7th Elder glanced at the other green palm race clansmen and said, You should have heard who they will choose. Lin Feng smiled. Not only had he heard it, but he had also guessed that they had chosen the strongest opponent for him. Prince Yao of the 10th era. He was an extremely talented super genius of the main bloodline. But in fact, this was the opponent he wanted to choose. Instead of picking an opponent that could be trampled on by him, it was more interesting to pick an opponent that was on par with him. Such a battle to the death would be a possibility for him to break through and improve. If he were to choose, he would definitely incur the wrath of the Green Palm tribe if he were to kill Prince Yao. But their choice was different. He could fight to his heart's content without worrying about anything else. They were evenly matched, and he was very confident that he would be able to defeat Prince Yao in terms of experience. Putting everything else aside, he was more than a notch above Prince Yao. This kind of challenge was even more interesting. Originally, he had wanted to find such an opponent to spar with. This was the perfect time to do so. Okay, and then Lin Feng said. The 7th Patriarch looked deeply at Lin Feng and didn't dissuade him. He just nodded and said, Okay, Prince Yao. Prince. The cheers were endless. Prince Yao was obviously famous in the Green Palm race and had many supporters. Prince Yao was also a little surprised to step out from the 100 meteor battle challengers. He didn't expect to be chosen. Normally, the meteor battle would choose weak opponents who could easily pass and obtain the qualifications to test and preserve their strength. However, this human youth did the exact opposite. It's not too late for you to regret it now. Prince Yao walked to Lin Feng. His dark green skin revealed powerful muscles and explosive power. He said seriously, the meteor battle should choose a weak opponent. Lin Feng smiled. This Prince Yao was honest. From his expression, it could be seen that he wasn't arrogant or contemptuous. He was sincerely giving his advice. Thank you, Lin Feng said, but I don't regret it. Prince Yao's eyes suddenly turned cold. He nodded lightly and didn't say anything else. He turned around and returned to the battle platform to prepare for the warm-up before the battle. He had said what he needed to say. All that was left was to give it his all. Although he felt that he was stronger than the human youth, his opponent was a 5-star strongman after all. No one knew what trump cards he had and what secrets he was hiding. He had to give it his all. Prince Yao had seen many people lose their lives in the meteor battle because they underestimated the enemy. He didn't want to be one of them. You've decided? Yao Shun walked closer to Lin Feng and lowered his voice. His mood was actually very complicated. He didn't want Lin Feng to directly kill the Green Palm race clansman. But now that Lin Feng was going against Prince Yao, he felt uneasy. Lin Feng smiled. Isn't that what you want? Yao Shun blushed and stuttered, not knowing what to say. Lin Feng knew how he felt. He just smiled faintly and patted his shoulder. You owe me a favor. Then, he walked toward the battle area and prepared for the battle with Prince Yao. Behind him, Yao Shun sighed softly. So what if he owed him a favor? If he couldn't win a meteor battle, how could he repay the favor if he died? Give him a proper burial. Yao Shun mourned silently in his heart. Then, he turned around and left the meteor battle platform. In his opinion, Lin Feng couldn't win against Prince Yao. He was the pride of their Green Palm race, a strong man with unparalleled talent. Although they were both 5-star strong men, the difference in strength could be very big. Prince Yao was in the middle among 5-star strong men. This was already very impressive. One had to know that he was only 10 years old. Kill him, Prince. You have to win cleanly, Prince Yao. Our pride. Continue to maintain your undefeated record. You are the strongest. Below the platform, there were many supporters of Prince Yao. Of course, if any of the Green Palm race's strong men went up on the platform, the other people would cheer for them. However, Prince Yao's popularity was obviously higher. Below the platform, there were many excited faces and loud shouts, completely igniting the atmosphere. When ordinary strong men landed in this enemy camp to fight, they would already be afraid before the battle even started. However, Lin Feng didn't care. The battle saber, Crimson Sun, had already materialized in his hand. It flickered with a faint light. The light elements condensed, and a clear battle intent was born. He looked straight at Prince Yao. This little guy's temperament is not bad. He's not afraid in the face of danger. The 7th elder watched from the side. I wonder how strong he is. Is he just a facade and arrogant? Or is he really wise? The 7th elder was very curious about Lin Feng. He had a kind expression, and his eyes flickered with a luster. Obviously, he wasn't ordinary. There was a deep meaning behind it. Chapter 1756. The meteor battle was the qualification battle for the test. In the past 10,000 eras, tens of thousands of experts had died in the meteor battle. Only 99 experts had passed the meteor battle and qualified for the test. The probability was very low. Lin Feng knew clearly that these 99 experts were not to be trifled with. To be able to pass the meteor battle with such a low probability, each of them should be the top experts of the Origin Awakened continent. Even so, only 8 of them had passed the test. The probability was less than 10%. What did this mean? The test was more difficult than the meteor battle. If I can't even defeat him, even if I pass the meteor battle, I'll still die in the test. Lin Feng knew his own strength very well. Compared to the other 99 experts, he had no advantage. The final test would not be less difficult for him. He had obtained some information about this from Yao Shan. The 99 experts had entered the same area after completing the test, Sacred Land. The average strength of the 99 experts was at least 6 stars. In other words, he had to become a 6-star expert to have enough strength to take on the final test. However, he was only a 5-star expert now. Whether he could break through or not would depend on this battle. Although the possibility of breaking through from 5-star to 6-star was very low, every bit of improvement was still better than nothing. In a battle, especially an evenly matched battle, one's potential would be stimulated more. Are you ready? The 7th elder glanced at Prince Yao and Lin Feng. Both of them answered. Below, the Green Palm Tribe's people roared as if they were going to raise the entire meteor battle platform. They were extremely excited and looked forward to seeing Prince Yao kill this outsider, just like in the countless meteor battles before. Begin! The 7th elder's voice suddenly sounded. Bang! Boom! Lin Feng and Prince Yao attacked almost at the same time. There was no mercy in this kind of battle. It depended on real strength. When two enemies met on a narrow path, the brave would win. The Green Palm Tribe's experts did not rely on weapons. Their strongest weapon was a pair of iron fists. They believed in physical strength, the path of strength. Among all the races, the Demon Tribe was definitely one of the most proficient in strength and strength techniques. Boom! Prince Yao's fist was condensed with a powerful force of darkness. It suddenly blasted out, causing the entire space to distort. It was mixed with the path of space, the path of darkness, and the Tao of strength. Although the three abilities did not complement each other, they fused together quite well. At the very least, they displayed a power that was greater than 1 + 1 + 1 greater than 3. Lin Feng felt the pressure as soon as he made his move. Solid strength. This Prince Yao definitely lived up to his reputation. Boom! Lin Feng's 6 paths of light might be able to counter the Tao of darkness, but this was only 1/3 of Prince Yao's strength. The Green Tree race's strongest point was still strength. The Demon race's strongest Tao of strength. Bang! Bang! Boom! A series of powerful and unyielding punches collided head-on with Lin Feng without the slightest bit of fear. However, Lin Feng was clearly not someone to be trifled with. His heavenly Tao-infused saber technique realm unleashed the might of the Silver Plateau saber technique. With the might of a peak mystic treasure, his offense and defense were excellent, and he did not fall behind at all. The two sides quickly engaged in a fierce battle. The Green Palm Tree race clansmen below the meteorite battle platform were shouting, but their eyes were bright. An exciting battle. They were evenly matched. Not bad. This kid can actually fight to a draw with Prince Yao? Unbelievable. He seems to be younger than Prince Yao. So there is such a powerful human in the Origin Awakening continent. We are ignorant. With such strength, no wonder he dares to challenge Prince Yao. The Green Palm Tribe's clansmen quickly changed their opinion of Lin Feng. Whether he was a donkey or a horse, they would know after taking him out for a walk. Lin Feng's strength was clearly not what everyone thought before. He was a genuine 5-star powerhouse. The Green Palm Tree Tribe still respected true powerhouses. Otherwise, they would not win people over with virtue and set up the meteorite battle and test. This was the tradition of the Green Palm Tree race, because they believed that only by respecting the strong could one become a true expert. Regardless of victory or defeat, Lin Feng had now gained a recognition of the Green Palm Tree race. Boom! Lin Feng's fighting spirit erupted, and he switched from defense to offense. Prince Yao's attack was very strong, so he had been avoiding it and waiting for an opportunity. Just as he had guessed, Prince Yao's attack was weaker, and his combat experience was slightly weaker. The opponents he had encountered in the past were all opponents of the same age, so his attack power was enough to crush them. Therefore, Prince Yao was not good at defense because he did not use it much. Moreover, the Green Palm Tree race's body contained the blood of the Devil race. They used offense as defense and were inclined to attack to suppress their opponents. Prince Yao's instantaneous explosive power was terrifying, but the reason why explosive power was because it could not be sustained. This human is so durable. Prince Yao was also anxious. A meteorite battle in front of everyone was not only related to himself, but also related to the prestige of the green palm tree race. He could not lose. But this human youth's defense was as dense as sand, without any flaw. Even if he tried his best, his opponent still defended impenetrably. Damn it! Prince Yao became more and more anxious. Lin Feng's defense was top-notch. In terms of attack power, he was considered weak among five-star experts, but his strong body and recovery ability, the bloodline and black vortex in his body, coupled with the sole defense of his Heaven Eye cultivation and 10,000 origin mustard stone, his defense was above that of a five-star expert. Back then, the reason why Northern Stream allowed Lin Feng, who was only 2-star strength, to join was because of his defense power. Now that his strength had transformed, his defense power was even stronger. The prince's combat experience is still insufficient. Seventh Elder saw through it at a glance. In terms of strength, he naturally knew that Prince Yao was superior, but this human in front of him obviously knew more about combat. Using an action to counter the situation, he forced Prince Yao to reveal his flaws and weaknesses. Now that Prince Yao had lost his explosive power, not only was his attack power greatly weakened, but his weak defense was also exposed. The surrounding green palm tree race members cheered and did their best to cheer for Prince Yao. However, a meteorite battle depended on the strength of both parties. The prince will lose. Seventh Elder sighed in his heart. Although Prince Yao's death was a great loss to the green palm tree race, he could not break the rules of the race for Prince Yao. The battle indeed developed according to Seventh Elder's prediction. Although Prince Yao was full of fighting spirit, the experienced Lin Feng still gained the upper hand and quickly expanded the situation. Prince Yao, who was injured in many places, indeed had a good physique, but his recovery ability was far from Lin Feng's. Moreover, Lin Feng's attack contained the light divine Tao, which was the nemesis of darkness. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Feng used his absolute strength to prove himself. Although he was in the enemy camp, as long as he had enough strength, it was not important. He could use his strength to shut all the green palm tree race members up. Bang! The domineering blade broke through the darkness. Prince Yao roared and still wanted to put up a desperate struggle, but he was already powerless. The domineering saber technique of the Way of the Heavens blasted Prince Yao off the meteorite battle platform like a meteorite crashing down. The green palm tree race members were stunned and silent. Chapter 1757. Prince Yao was defeated? He was defeated in a meteor battle by a young human of unknown origin. The other party was even younger than him. How was that possible? Wasn't he the pride of the green palm tree race, the most talented expert of the younger generation? Question marks appeared on the faces of every green palm tree race clansman. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. Their pride, Prince Yao, was defeated so thoroughly. It would be fine if it was a normal spar. But this was a meteor battle. In a meteor battle, the loser would die. Thinking of this, the green palm tree race clansmen turned pale and their breathing became rapid. Although Prince Yao lost, they still didn't want to see the death of this super genius of their race. At this moment, Seventh Elder, the opponent, has fainted. Can you declare me the winner? Lin Feng looked at Seventh Elder. Seventh Elder was slightly stunned and said, "According to the rules of a meteor battle, it will only end when one side dies." Lin Feng laughed. "This is your rule. We don't have such a rule. We humans are particular about stopping when it comes to exchanging pointers. Just as you guys often say, win people over with virtue. Since you've won, there's no need to add fuel to the fire, right?" Lin Feng glanced at the green palm tree race clansman and nodded with a smile. He was giving Seventh Elder a way out and earning some benefits at the same time. Although he didn't know the benefits, if he killed Prince Yao now, not only would he not get any benefits, but he would also arouse public anger. Although Prince Yao was recommended by the green palm tree race clansmen, he was still the culprit. In the enemy camp, he would try not to cause trouble if he could. Seventh Elder wanted to say something, but stopped. At this time, cheers came from below. The green palm tree race clapped and cheered. "Well said. Human boy, we admire you. Good spirit, good spirit." This is the demeanor of a true expert. The Green Palm Tree Race clansmen naturally didn't want Prince Yao to be killed so unjustly. After all, he was the future star of their Green Palm Tree Race. Lin Feng's actions instantly convinced the Green Palm Tree Race clansmen. Not only did Lin Feng defeat Prince Yao not make them feel unhappy, but they were full of admiration. Some gains were intangible. Just because they couldn't be seen didn't mean that they were useless. Haha, the seventh elder stroked his beard and laughed. He nodded and looked at Lin Feng with appreciation in his eyes. Since little brother insists on following human customs, I won't force you. For today's battle, I declare the human challenger wins. Smiles appeared on the faces of the Green Palm Race clansmen. Shouts and applause rang out in twos and threes. They were not in support of Lin Feng, but rather, they were satisfied with the fall battle and praised Lin Feng. Unknowingly, Lin Feng had won the hearts of many Green Palm Race clansmen. Just as he said, subdued demons with virtue. The meteor battle was over. However, to Lin Feng, this was actually just the beginning because he had just obtained the qualifications to take the test and was about to enter the sacred land of the Green Palm tribe to take the test. That place had nothing to do with age and only depended on one's strength. He might be able to enter, but he might not be able to leave. In the past 10,000 eras, 99 super experts had entered, but only 8 of them had survived. 10% chance. However, what was truly terrifying was that the average strength of these 99 experts was 6-star. Even 7-star experts have died. Lin Feng exclaimed. Yes, and there's more than one. Yao Shun nodded and said in a low voice, Actually, I shouldn't have told you this. Everything about the test is confidential. Our meeting today, don't worry, Lin Feng replied. Yao Shun owed him a favor before, so he was here to return this favor. Although the Green Palm Race was a demon, there was a lot of human blood flowing in their bodies. Their personalities were not as ruthless as the pure-blooded demons. How strong are the 8 super experts that survived? Lin Feng asked again. As far as I know, there are 3 7-star experts, 2 8-star experts, and 1 9-star expert. The other 2 seem to be 6-star experts. There are no 5-star experts. Yao Shun knew what Lin Feng wanted to ask. Lin Feng's heart trembled. In other words, the probability of a 5-star expert passing the test was close to 0. However, this was just a reference. It was still unknown how many 5-star experts there were among the 99 experts, so it could not be taken as a certainty. Everything depended on one's effort. You don't know exactly what the test is? Lin Feng asked. Only the 7th elder knows. Yao Shun said, In my opinion, little brother, you can use your physical discomfort as an excuse to stay in the Green Palm domain for a while and cultivate patiently to improve your strength. After all, you pass the battle and let Prince Yao go. The 7th elder will do you a favor no matter what. When your strength increases to 6-star, then you can enter the Holy Land. You'll have a better chance. Lin Feng nodded. He had to admit that this was a compromise. I'll consider it. Thank you. Lin Feng thanked Yao Shun. You're welcome. I hope you can pass the test. Yao Shun showed a kind smile and patted his chest. I'll bring you a pot of good wine to celebrate. Deal, Lin Feng said with a smile. It caused a sensation in the Green Palm domain. Lin Feng defeated Prince Yao and became a hot topic. He was only 1 era old and had 5-star strength. Moreover, he was only a human. The Green Palm domain experts took delight in talking about him. Moreover, this was a battle. In the past 10,000 eras, he was the 100th expert to pass the battle and qualify for the test. Lin Feng was the youngest and also the youngest of them all. Do you think he can pass the test? Stop joking. The passing rate of 7-star experts is less than 30%. He's only a 5-star expert. It's only a theoretical possibility. However, this human is very kind. He didn't kill Prince Yao and has the strength. Perhaps the elders in the race will let him go and not take his life. Yes, this human will become a great talent in the future. He might be a member of the 5 major races in the Origin Awakened continent. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so strong. The 5 major races are nothing. We used to be one of the 5 major races. The discussion outside didn't stop. On the contrary, Lin Feng acted as if nothing had happened. He cultivated and waited as usual. One day, the seventh elder came. Lin Feng knew that it was time for him to accept the test and enter the sacred ground. "Are you ready?" the seventh elder asked with a kind smile. "Yes," Lin Feng answered. The seventh elder was slightly surprised. His eyes narrowed as he said softly, "Little guy, do you feel any discomfort after the battle? Do you need to rest for a while?" Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh. He hadn't used the moves that Yao Shun taught him, but the seventh elder used them. "No need. I'm in good condition now." Lin Feng declined. The seventh elder sighed softly and nodded. He didn't persuade anymore. "In that case, follow me." Lin Feng followed. Chapter 1758. The sacred lands were the top existences in the Green Palm domain. In this core area, they had supreme status in the Green Palm Tree tribe. Ordinary clansmen could only look at them and did not even have the right to enter. This was because the rules of the Green Palm domain stated that only the strong had the right to enter. However, what was interesting was that such a sacred existence did not allow its own clansmen to enter. Instead, it allowed outsiders to enter. Lin Feng was very curious as he followed the seventh elder deep into the core area. No matter how open-minded the Green Tree tribe was, it should not be like this. No matter which tribe it was the same to cherish good things. This was not selfishness, but the difference between close and distant, to allow outsiders to enter their sacred land. Either there was something wrong with the clan, or it was clear that he had other motives. Lin Feng didn't ask. He knew that he wouldn't be able to get an answer. He would have to wait until he entered the Holy Land to slowly find the answer. The reason why he didn't follow Yao Shun's method and chose to enter directly was because he was still a distance away from reaching 6 star. Although he had gained something from his battle with Prince Yao, it was only in terms of his control over his strength, so it wasn't much. On the other hand, he didn't have much time. Even if he became a 6-star expert, it did not mean that he would be able to survive in the Holy Land. Since everything was unknown, it was better to just barge in and see what was in the sacred land and what the Green Tree tribe's test was. Whoosh! A milky white light appeared in the huge Holy Land, as if half a sphere had enveloped it. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. When he had first entered the Green Palm domain, he had already vaguely sensed that the Holy Land's natural energy was quite prominent. Now that he was at such a close distance, his heartbeat quickened. The sacred land of the Green Palm tribe. What exactly would the Green Tree clan, which was comparable to the 18 top clans and had nurtured countless 7-star powerhouses, have in their holy land? Lin Feng was very curious and expectant, even though he didn't know what the Green Palm Tree race's intentions were. But if it was a blessing, it wouldn't be a curse. If it was a curse, it couldn't be avoided. Now that his opportunity had arrived, there was no reason for him to reject it. There is only one test in the Holy Land. The seventh elder looked at Lin Feng and said, "Come out alive." Lin Feng was stunned. Before he could savor it, his body suddenly became light, as if some kind of barrier had been opened in front of him. Suddenly, an incomparably huge energy aura descended and enveloped him. Turbid flowing lights flew past in front of him. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived at a new world. Holy Land. Lin Feng's heart shook. His curious gaze quickly swept over, but he was stunned. The environment here was completely different from the outside. It was eerie and bone-piercing. The green and gloomy colors made it seem like countless ghosts were floating around. The entire space was hair-raising. This was the Holy Land? It's about the same as the Ghost Domain. This was the first thought that flashed through Lin Feng's mind. The Green Palm field outside was like a paradise, a paradise. It was magnificent and magnificent. On the contrary, the Holy Land was like this. It really made one not know whether to laugh or cry. Perhaps the Green Palm race's aesthetics are the opposite of that of humans. That was what Lin Feng thought. The aura spread out, and the energy of the aura made people shudder. Everywhere in the air was evil, darkness, and an endless abyss of hell. Everything there was incomparably evil, frightening, and even terrifying. I didn't expect the Holy Land to be like this. No wonder the test is to survive and leave this place alive. But what is the specific test? Lin Feng had questions in his heart. He still didn't know the true purpose of the test. The only thing he knew was that this Holy Land was definitely not simple. Just the evil aura alone was dozens of times denser than the outside world. One had to know that the evil aura in the green palm field was more than 10 times denser than the swamp. One could imagine how astonishing the evil aura contained in this Holy Land was. Slowly sense and look around. Lin Feng was not in a hurry. He carefully probed the surrounding environment. Everything here vaguely felt familiar to him, as if he had sensed it somewhere before. Darkness. Endless darkness. It was as if there was no life here, no vitality, and nothing. There was only darkness. The dense evil aura was like a ferocious evil beast that wanted to devour everyone. The environment was completely different from the green palm field outside. It seemed to be hinting at something. I understand. Lin Feng probed for a while, and his eyes suddenly lit up. He remembered where he had felt this before. It was in a new wind gap, where the source of the evil aura was. What he sensed was this enormous evil aura. It was inexhaustible and vast. At that time, it left a deep impression on him. Right now, it was exactly the same. So this is the core of the 10,000 evil realm. Lin Feng instantly understood. His heart moved. The evil aura spread from the Holy Land to the new wind gap, and then spread to the entire 10,000 evil realm. This was the source of the evil aura. No wonder there is more than one entrance to the swamp. Lin Feng nodded. Cultivating the path of the dark demon and other great paths of darkness here is more than twice the result with half the effort. The efficiency is more than 10 times or 100 times. Lin Feng sighed. He had a vague idea in his heart. Why didn't he cultivate here? In addition to the great path of light, I'm also very good at the great path of darkness, especially the path of the dark demon. Lin Feng's eyes shone. His attainments in the path of the dark demon were quite outstanding. It was second to none among the 6 great paths of darkness. The evil aura here belonged to the great path of the dark demon. He had 100,000 times time cultivation formation. Not only could it increase the effect of cultivation, but it was also an excellent defensive formation. The greater the time ratio, the more precious the time cultivation formation was, and the stronger its defensive power. If the time cultivation formation was not safe, who would dare to cultivate in it? Here, I can cultivate all 6 great paths of darkness to perfection in a short period of time. It will be on par with the path of the dark demon. Lin Feng's eyes shone. The comprehension of great paths could not only improve one's life level and attainments in darkness. Similarly, using the great path of darkness here would be twice the result with half the effort. It would make his combat style more versatile and flexible. The most important thing was that he would not need to spend too much time to master it. I have the experience of integrating 6 great paths of light. I believe that integrating 6 great paths of darkness will not be too difficult. Lin Feng knew that the attainments in the great path of darkness here were more important than the great path of light. The more powerful the great path of darkness was, the faster the recovery. Compared to the previous 99 super powerhouses, I don't have an advantage in terms of strength. However, the increase in geographical advantage might be helpful. Lin Feng nodded. Although he was a 5-star powerhouse now, if he integrated 6 great paths of darkness according to his plan, then his combat power will be close to that of a 6-star powerhouse here. He might even reach the threshold of a 6-star powerhouse. If a worker wanted to do a good job, he must first sharpen his tools. One's tools were one's own strength. In order to survive in this strange, sacred ground and get out alive, one's strength was irreplaceable and indispensable. Let's do it this way. Lin Feng made his decision decisively. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 1759, 100,000 times time cultivation array. This was the best cultivation treasure that Lin Feng had obtained from the restriction of the giant mountain. Although it didn't look impressive and couldn't be compared to the Northern Stream's Supreme Treasure or Ru's Soul Inheritance, it was the most suitable for him. The difference between 100,000 times and 10,000 times was huge. Hua. Lin Feng quickly immersed himself in cultivation and concentrated. Just as he had guessed, cultivating the great Tao of darkness here was too fast and too easy. It was simply a leap. No wonder there are so many experts in the green tree race. Lin Feng finally understood. The green tree race's great Tao of darkness was already outstanding. It was hard for them not to be strong when cultivating in the sacred ground. All right, the evil aura here is so dense. Will it be of help to Wu Jin and Old Devil Golden Flame? As his strength increased, Lin Feng had a clear understanding of Wu Jin and Old Devil Golden Flame's strength. Although the two demons were sealed and their strength was greatly reduced, they were still very strong when they were at their peak. Lin Feng already knew this. Wu Jin was a 5-star expert, while Old Devil Golden Flame was even stronger. He was a 6-star expert. If they can break the seal, they will be of great help to me here. Lin Feng thought to himself, especially the Golden Flame Old Devil, who was a 6-star expert's bodyguard and a demon expert at that. He would be able to help Lin Feng solve many problems here. Let's give it a try. Lin Feng quickly released the two demons. In the sacred ground, Wu Jin and Old Devil Golden Flame were both shocked. Even though they were proficient in the great Tao of darkness, they were still shocked by the dense, evil aura. To the demon race, this was a 120% cultivation ground. How is it? Lin Feng's gaze landed on the Golden Flame Old Devil. His strength and experience were both greater than Wu Jin's. I'm afraid it's not possible to break the seal, Old Devil Golden Flame muttered. Lin Feng shook his head. Although he had guessed this possibility, he was still disappointed to hear it from Old Devil Golden Flame. Right now, he needed them. But there are other possibilities. Old Devil Golden Flame paused and said, "What do you mean?" Lin Feng didn't understand. The Golden Flame Old Devil's eyes sparkled. The element of darkness here is so active and overbearing. There must be some fruits of darkness that have been fully absorbed and refined to the extreme. If we can get enough of these fruits, Wu Jin and I can use the abundant dark energy to forcefully break the seal. I understand. Lin Feng understood. However, he had just entered the Holy Land, and his strength was still lacking. He couldn't differentiate between north, south, east, and west. At this moment, they still needed to make further plans. If there is such a fruit, I will keep it for you. Lin Feng was not willing to change his original plan. He did not want to put himself in danger just to find a heaven and earth fruit. As long as he was strong enough, and the Holy Land had such a fruit, it was only a matter of time before he found it. There was no need to rush. Let's start cultivating first. Lin Feng made up his mind and quickly began cultivating. One's own strength was of utmost importance. It was very easy. It was unexpectedly easy. In less than one round, Lin Feng easily improved the 6 paths of darkness to perfection. At the same time, he completed the first stage of fusion. And in the second round of cultivation, the fusion of the 6 paths of darkness entered the second stage. It was the same as the 6 paths of light. My current attainments in the great Tao of darkness are not inferior to the 6 paths of light. Lin Feng stretched out his hands. The divine vein of light no longer occupied his body. Instead, it intersected with the divine vein of darkness. Under the stability of the black vortex, it formed a Tai Chi feeling. His life level had increased. His attainments in the Tao of light and Tao of darkness had reached a bottleneck. If he continued cultivating, he would reach the 3rd stage of fusion of the 6 paths of darkness. Its power would exceed that of the great perfection stage. He had never thought of this goal. The 2nd stage of fusion was already as difficult as ascending to the heavens, let alone the 3rd stage. Even in the Holy Land, it was extremely difficult to complete. Moreover, he didn't have enough time. But to leave now? It's too early, and my strength won't increase by much. Lin Feng closed his eyes and pondered for a while. The battle saber in his hand revealed its loftiness. It wasn't the crimson sun, but the soul-severing black saber. Of the two battle sabers, one walked the great Tao of light, and the other walked the great Tao of darkness. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't use the Crimson Sun to perform an attack of darkness. That would be greatly reduced. If he used the soul-severing black saber to perform an attack of light, the power would be much weaker. I should be able to create a saber technique stronger than the Black Destroyer now. Lin Feng held the soul-severing black saber and was very certain. First of all, the battle with Prince Yao allowed him to comprehend a lot of power techniques. Second, the improvement in his life level allowed his heavenly path to reach a deeper level. Finally, the comprehension of the Holy Land and the great Tao of darkness gave him new inspiration. Now, it was time to create a new saber technique. Green Palm Region, Elders Council. Old 7. I heard that the human this time has a lot of potential. Is that human Lin Feng really not even 1 era old? Are you sure you didn't make a mistake? He can even defeat Prince Yao. He does have real strength. The elders of the Green Palm race chattered. This was the Elders' Council that was held once every 10 years. Every elder was in charge of different affairs in the Green Palm race. The 7th elder was in charge of the Fallen Battle. The Holy Land was personally supervised by the Great Elder. Not only does this child have good potential, but his temperament, character, and other aspects are also top-notch. Speaking of Lin Feng, the 7th elder stroked his beard and smiled. He was very satisfied. It's a pity that he's a 5-star expert. The 3rd elder shook his head. No 5-star expert has ever come out of the Holy Land alive, the 8th elder said. Old 7, you should let this child continue to cultivate until he's a 6-star expert. Now, isn't it a waste of a good seedling? The 4th elder frowned and said regretfully. The 7th elder shook his head. The rules were set by our ancestors. Although we are elders, we can't go against them. Rules are dead. The 4th elder disagreed. Only 8 experts came out alive in the last 10,000 years. The probability is too low. We shouldn't stick to the rules. Actually, we can enough, Old 4. Don't talk nonsense anymore. The 2nd elder interrupted in a deep voice. Old 7 is right. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. The Green Palm race's reputation was set by our ancestors. How can it be changed just like that? Yes, 2nd brother. The 4th elder bowed. What should come will always come. If it's not ours, we can't keep it. The great elder who had been absent all this time raised his head with a serious expression. It's naturally good that he can come out alive. If he dies in the Holy Land, that's also fate. We can't force it. His deep voice was like a Buddhist hymn. There was a faint deterrent aura. Compared to the other elders, the great elder's aura was stronger and more terrifying. It was as powerful as a black hole. He was a legendary 8-star expert. Let's continue watching. At least he's not dead yet. The great elder said indifferently and closed his eyes again. If he's really fated with our Green Palm race, he'll definitely come out alive. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 1760. Create a new saber technique. Comprehension and realm were indispensable. The realm of a saber technique was also related to one's life level. In fact, one's life level determined many things. This was the realm of the soul. An ordinary person would never be able to comprehend the universe and create a saber technique that could destroy stars. However, a strong enough life level meant a high enough upper limit. There was no limit. 80%, 85%, 90%. Lin Feng's heavenly Dao Marrow saber technique realm was constantly improving. The new saber technique integrated the attainments of the great Tao of darkness, especially the comprehension of the dark demon Tao, causing his heavenly Dao Marrow realm to improve by leaps and bounds. Vaguely, his comprehension had surpassed any one of the 6 great Taos of light. Geographical advantage. The evil aura of the sacred land was too shocking. Dark Demon Triple Strike. Lin Feng's new saber technique was different from the previous one. It borrowed from Prince Yao's strength technique and superimposed the power of the Dark Demon Dao. It was a fusion of strength technique and the Dark Demon Dao. After exchanging blows, he knew its attack power and power better. Therefore, he was able to completely restore it and transform it into a saber technique to transform it. Since this saber technique was comprehended in the Sacred Land, I'll call it the Sacred Land Saber Technique. The soul-severing black saber in Lin Feng's hand shone. The sparkling black light condensed in his blood-red eyes, and the dark demon, evil chi, howled. The first slash, 80% heavenly, Dao Marrow Realm, 50% strength. The second slash, 85% heavenly, Dao Marrow Realm, 100% strength. The third slash, 90% heavenly, Dao Marrow Realm, 20% strength. With my current ability, I can only comprehend up to this point. Lin Feng knew his limits very well. Firstly, he didn't have enough strength and experience. Secondly, his attainments in the Dark Demon Dao were still not strong enough. The reason why he could superimpose 20% strength was more or less because of the Sacred Land's evil aura. Otherwise, his current limit would be the second slash. The cultivation results are quite good. Lin Feng slashed out. The soul-severing black saber was completely activated. The dark demon power that erupted was shockingly powerful. It was more than several times stronger than the original Crimson Sunday. It was just a casual slash, but it had already surpassed before entering the Sacred Land. If he had such strength back then, Prince Yao might not even be able to block 3 of his moves. Right now, my battle prowess isn't just close to 6-star. It should have already reached the threshold of 6-star. Lin Feng was very clear that although he was still a 5-star expert when he left the Holy Land, his strength in the Holy Land was equivalent to a 6-star expert. Now, he finally had the strength to protect himself in the Holy Land. Come out alive. Lin Feng still did not understand the meaning of the test, but that did not stop him from moving forward. After leaving the 100,000 times time cultivation array, Lin Feng began his real exploration. Following his senses, Lin Feng circled around the periphery to familiarize himself with the environment of the Holy Land. According to the intensity of the evil chi, the whole Holy Land should be a huge circle with countless arcs intertwined, forming countless circles from the outside to the inside. With such a dense, evil aura, it was natural for evil beasts and evil trees to be present. Moreover, they were much stronger than the ones outside. Boom! Lin Feng used the Holy Land Saber technique and quickly killed 3 extremely violent evil beasts. Each of them had 5-star strength. If it was him before he went into seclusion to cultivate, he would have fled in a sorry state. But now he had won. Clean and crisp, he won unscathed. Facing 3 evil beasts whose combat power was close to Prince Yao's, he could win. What he relied on was the bitter cultivation in the 100,000 times time cultivation array, the sublimation of life level, the comprehension of the Tao of Darkness, and the creation of a Holy Land Saber technique. Now he was a genuine 6-star expert. Even if it was only because of the Holy Land's evil aura, a 6-star expert was still a 6-star expert. No wonder no 5-star expert could complete the test and come out alive. Lin Feng finally understood that there might be some 5-star powerhouses with amazing life-saving abilities. However, he had only encountered 5-star demonic beasts. There would definitely be stronger demonic beasts as he went deeper. When surrounded by a group of 6-star evil beasts, even a 7-star expert might not be able to survive, let alone a 5-star expert. Completing the test required many things, such as wisdom, judgment, choice, courage, and so on. It was a comprehensive consideration, but there was one thing that was indispensable, and that was strength. With my current strength, I can fight a 6-star evil beast alone, but Lin Feng knew the abilities of the evil beasts well. He had encountered all kinds of evil beasts in the 1,000 evil regions before. A single evil beast was not scary, but a group was. When a group of 6-star evil beasts appeared, he would have to escape. This scene appeared in his mind, and he had simulated it countless times. When he went deeper into the Holy Land, he would encounter them sooner or later. No hurry. Lin Feng circled the outermost area, exploring the environment and adapting to the Holy Land. At the same time, he hunted evil beasts and evil trees in search of dark-type fruits of heaven and earth. As the Golden Flame Old Demon said, there were quite a lot of dark-type fruits of heaven and earth here. Even if it was just the outermost area, the collection was quite good. In less than 30 days, he had collected dozens of fruits of heaven and earth. However, he was still far from breaking the seal of the golden flame old demon. Continue. Lin Feng gradually went deeper, collecting dark-type fruits of heaven and earth. As long as he had enough fruits, he would be able to break the seal of the golden flame old demon. At that time, he would have a reliable and powerful helper. Right now, it was crucial. Gulp. While exploring, Lin Feng also swallowed dark-type fruits of heaven and earth. Because he usually collected many of the same type of fruits of heaven and earth, the more he ate, the less effective it would be. Naturally, he would not waste it on the golden flame old demon. After all, he also needed the fruits of heaven and earth. The plump fruits of heaven and earth contained endless evil chi and darkness. If he was not careful, the evil chi in the fruit would go to his head and cause him to go crazy. He might even turn into an evil beast. Therefore, the golden flame old demon was very careful when he absorbed the fruits. However, Lin Feng did not care at all. He swallowed one fruit after another, not caring about the evil chi at all. The golden flame old demon behind him was dumbfounded, not knowing what to say. My Tao of dark demon has improved? Lin Feng was surprised and happy. As he kept eating dark-type fruits of heaven and earth, his Tao of dark demon seemed to have entered a new level, a new step. It felt like he had only taken a small step forward, but it was already a different sky. It was not a peak. Instead, it is a level between the peak and absolute perfection. It is close to the peak. Lin Feng took a deep breath and absorbed the dense, evil chi, making him feel 100 times more spirited. The divine runes of darkness on the surface of his body sparkled. He was close to becoming a paragon, and he was very close to becoming a paragon. I didn't expect this. Lin Feng sighed. He mainly cultivated the great Tao of light, and then comprehended 6 great Tao of light. However, he did not expect that the Tao of dark demon would be the first to reach the peak. The affairs of the world were unpredictable. For the latest novel updates, please visit the website. Chapter 1761. Evil Tree Territory. Lin Feng ran into the dense evil tree formation and vaguely understood what the green tree tribe's test was. But no matter what, he should focus on the present and pass through the evil tree formation first. In almost an instant, the evil tree at the front was full of energy and launched an attack. It was as excited as if it had found its prey. It was like a giant with dozens of arms attacking Lin Feng. The branches turned into giant pythons and coiled around him. Although the attack was simple, it was powerful. 6-star evil tree. There were no 5-star evil trees in this evil tree territory. The difference between evil trees was their different attack methods. Naturally, there were strong and weak ones. Lin Feng did not fight head-on. Instead, he took advantage of the situation. With his current strength, he could fight a 6-star evil tree head-on, but it would be very difficult to kill it, especially since there were too many evil trees in the evil tree territory. It was completely feasible to pass through the evil tree territory. After all, there were gaps between the evil trees. Every evil tree had its own territory. Just like how a mountain could not accommodate 2 tigers, the evil trees were the same. In an area, there was usually only one type of evil tree. It was a type of tree, not a single one. Some evil trees of the same type could get along harmoniously. After all, they were born from the same root. However, there were not many of them. There was more than one path in the evil tree territory. Bang! Lin Feng followed the evil tree's attack and ran in the opposite direction. With a few experiences, he quickly familiarized himself with it. With his strength, he had no problem protecting himself. Naturally, he could pass through the evil trees with incomparable agility. For those powerhouses who were tall and strong, it was difficult to pass through the evil tree formation with agility. However, Lin Feng was different. If the first time did not work, he would try twice. If the second time did not work, he would try thrice. He experimented again and again to find the pattern of the evil tree's attack. Then, He carefully pondered and formulated a plan. After all, the evil tree was an evil tree. It had many advantages, but also many disadvantages. Being unable to move was their biggest obstacle. In less than 10 days, Lin Feng was already able to cross almost half of the evil tree territory. This was even effortless for him. The evil tree's intelligence was limited. If you attacked it once, it would be effective a second time. It would also be effective a third or fourth time. It would not change its method to deal with you. This was because the evil tree only knew how to attack based on its primitive instincts. 30 days later, Lin Feng passed through the evil tree territory without any injuries, revealing a smile. Although his strength didn't increase by much, his control over his body had improved considerably. Although the evil trees in the evil tree territory were very strong, especially the ones at the very end, they were like iron chains across the river. However, as long as they found a way, they could still pass. After all, he did not need to kill all of the evil trees. The first level isn't difficult. Lin Feng turned back to look at the evil tree's territory, and then looked ahead. There was a transparent square block, and there seemed to be stairs at the bottom, leading to the next level. This is indeed a tower, one layer after another. Lin Feng gently touched the square block and could easily penetrate it. This confirmed his previous judgment that there was definitely an even stronger obstacle waiting for him below. Just in this area alone, the end where he was now was denser than the entrance. The evil aura was more than 50% denser. There was no need to talk about the next level. The further down they went, the closer they got to the source, the thicker the evil aura became. I won't be able to pass many levels if I rely on my wits. Lin Feng understood that the so-called test was all-encompassing. It was difficult to rely on tricks alone. He had to improve his strength in all aspects to face the unknown dangers of the next level. Strength was the foundation and foundation. It just so happens that the evil aura here is more than 50% denser than the entrance. Cultivating here is twice the result with half the effort. Lin Feng had his own considerations. Entering the next level, the evil aura was certainly denser, but he didn't know if there was time, if there was a place to cultivate, and if it would be as friendly as the evil trees. Once he stepped into the next level, there were too many unknowns and uncertainties. It was better to cultivate within the controllable range in front of him. Moreover, the end of the first level and the front of the second level were only separated by a flight of stairs, and the density of the evil aura was actually not much different. Formation of 100,000 times time. Lin Feng focused on comprehending the path of Dark Demon and put the other 5 paths of darkness aside for the time being. He continued to hone his saber techniques and strength techniques, mastering stronger combat skills and strength. One round, another round. In the time formation, it was one era after another. Time passed extremely quickly. Lin Feng steadily improved his strength. After all, it was very difficult to step into the path of Dark Demon. Many experts were unable to comprehend it in their entire lives. Although he was confident, this was not something that could be achieved overnight. He had to set up a backup plan, and the improvement of his saber techniques was the key. What he lacked now was powerful attack power. Humans had secret techniques of the law, and demons had strength techniques. He knew both, but he was not proficient in either. He relied on his saber techniques to make a name for himself. Absolute saber techniques and realm. Right now, saber techniques were of the utmost importance to increase his attack power. Comprehend the 4th move of the Sacred Land saber techniques. He needed to comprehend 95% of the path of heaven into his marrow and condense the power of the Dark Demon. Lin Feng was not distracted and focused on cultivating and improving himself. The biggest keys to cultivating in the time formation were patience and tenacity. As long as he had enough of these two, everything would fall into place. Boom! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His saber techniques surged through the mountains and rivers. The Hell Soul severing saber in his hand seemed to have come to life. It was ruthless, ferocious, and powerful. It was as if there was a demon devouring everything in the void. It was extremely domineering. 95% of the path of heaven into his marrow was fully displayed in this saber. The fourth saber. The evil aura here has helped a lot. Lin Feng closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Through the evil aura, he unleashed all his strength. The dark god's mark supported the eruption of the evil aura, creating this extremely powerful fourth saber. His comprehension of the Tao of the Dark Devil and the fact that he was close to the Great Perfection realm were also key factors. If his realm was not high enough, he would never be able to comprehend it. This was because the realm represented the upper limit, just like how one's life level represented one's strength. In the time cultivation formation, countless epochs flew by. Lin Feng's cultivation finally reached a bottleneck. After he created the fourth saber attack, although Lin Feng tried to create the fifth saber attack to achieve a prowess of 100% heavenly Tao marrow, he was still lacking a little. As for the path of Dark Demon, the path from near perfection to perfection was very long. It required enough luck and an instant of comprehension. This was something that was very difficult to achieve in secluded cultivation. It's about time. Lin Feng left the time formation. His gaze fell on the transparent square block and the stairs in front of him. They were very attractive. As long as he took this step, he would enter the next level and undergo a new adventure. There, he might obtain opportunities and break through his strength. However, Lin Feng smiled and turned to give up. For the time being, this is not good. Lin Feng was very clear about his thoughts and plans. The next step was definitely not the next level.